a spectacular day for baseball here at Shea Stadium. Warm temperatures in the 70s, a little bit of a breeze blowing, not a cloud in the sky. The Mets and Cardinals get ready to play the rubber game of this 3-game series. The Mets won on Tuesday. The Cards bounced back with the victory last night, so the Mets will try to get back on the winning side this afternoon. Hi, everybody. I'm Matt Loughlin. Thanks very much for joining us as these teams get ready to play here at Shea Stadium. The Mets made a roster move as Al Leiter, and no real surprise. We told you last night that his shoulder was bothering him. Has been placed on the disabled list. It's retroactive to the 12th of this month. To take his place on the roster, Essex Snead has been called up. It's probably only temporary because the Mets will need a pitcher on Saturday, and at that point, Snead will probably be returned to the minors. So as we get ready for today's game, Ted Robinson, there's always room for talk of defense. There's a guy who can flash the glove down at third for St. Louis.
That's exactly right, Matty. Who better to talk defense with than Ralph Kiner, right? The great. And Ralph is holding up well after signing, what, 5,000 or 6,000 books here last night?
Well, not that many, but there were a lot of people out there, and we had fun with that, and the people were great. The you know, Mets fans all the way, and they were happy. The Mets were playing good baseball.
Well, but I'll tell you, they ran into a display of defense last night from Scott Rowland that was extraordinary.
Yeah, and here's the evidence of some great third base play right here. Scott Rowland right there with the out. Of course, the runner was not fast, so he did get a chance to make that play. But he is certainly one of the best defensive third basemen we have ever seen. On top of that, he can hit. And he's hitting extremely well. And what an acquisition Scott Rowland was coming from the Philadelphia Phillies.
Funny thing was he got the hit that drove in the only run last night, yet after the game, Cardinal manager Tony La Russa said the key, Rowland's defense last night, and there are the spectacular numbers that he features. Well, today it's a homecoming for Jason Marquis, who grew up in Staten Island. He's going to have a bunch of family and friends here today as he makes the start for the Cardinals. The Mets key, Fran, 2 hitters that have good marks against him.
Yeah, family and friends for Jason Marquis, and 2 friends on the Mets side. Look at those numbers against Jason Marquis. You see Todd Zeile, who, by the way, is batting second. He's in the lineup. And you got Mike Piazza, who's batting 4th in the lineup today for the Mets. But look at those numbers. Extremely impressive. Is it a large enough body of work? We'll find out this afternoon.
Well, the good news for the Mets, Zeile able to play, cleared by the doctors about a half an hour ago. And Mike Cameron also is going to play this afternoon as the Mets try to get a series win against the Cardinals. We'll focus in on another outstanding Cardinal defender when we come back.
New York Mets baseball is brought to you in part by Nissan and your local Nissan dealer. By Hip Health Plan. Now that's hip. And by Land Rover. Visit LandRoverUSA.com to locate a retailer near you. A sun-drenched afternoon here at Shea Stadium. A perfect day for baseball. The Mets and Cardinals getting ready to conclude their 3-game series. Mike Matheny will be behind the plate once again for St. Louis. Earlier in this series, he had a home run, his second of the season, but we want to talk about his defense because perhaps he is the best catcher in the National League. A great gun, calls a great game, and last night he entered the record books. The numbers are brought to you by Dreyfus as he set a major league record for consecutive errorless chances by a catcher. His last error was a throwing error back on August 1st, 2002. As you might expect for someone who's rather modest, he didn't even realize he had the record.
Well, I didn't really know much about it, and obviously anytime you've done something that other people haven't, there's been a lot of good catchers come through, obviously, and to have a record, I think someday I'll be able to think about it a little bit more and then focus on what it really means, but I know that a lot of it has to do with this infield. I know those guys have picked me up a lot on bad throws, and all the way around the field have a good support group with this team, and very fortunate that.
Today's quote is brought to you by Tri-State Consumer Auto Insurance. We're just about ready for the first pitch of this afternoon's game. It's the Mets and Cards here on Fox Sports Net.
Now, today's Mets game available in SAP, and Juan confirmed it. I said it right. Escuche a los Mets en Español, right, Juan? Juan Alisei and Billy Baroa use the SAP function on your remote. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of Sterling Mets may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Sterling Mets. So Jay So getting ready to face this Cardinal lineup. One that changed from last night And that's down in the 7th spot. It's Womack, Renneria, then that big middle, Pujols, Rowland, and Edmonds. The change, So Taguchi will play left field and bat 7th, and the pitcher, Jason Marquis, 9th.
And you see the Rico numbers like a Social Security number right there. It tells you all about that pitcher, Jay So. 5 starts. Opponent's batting .315. You can't hide the numbers. The opponent's average is high. You just want to make sure when they swing the bat to hit the ball, nobody's on base. But Jay So still trying to impress Rick Peterson and Art Howe.
So Tony Womack, who was a thorn last night to the Mets, he was on 3 times, 3 singles in 4 tries. Zeal creeping in at 3rd. And we've got a beautiful day today. It's almost as if this day was ordered up for Ralph Kiner.
This is my kind of day. Day baseball, beautiful day, weather just perfect, and we're out here having a good time.
And the Mets are, there's Zeal with the ear bandaged and 8 stitches deep in that ear last night.
He's a gamer. Look at that.
Yeah.
Just put the Band-Aid on and go get him.
Doctors would not clear him. It was only 20 to 30 minutes before the game here when he was medically cleared to play.
Tony Womack right there swinging through that high heater from Jay So. Well, it is a beautiful day here at Shea Stadium. Keep in mind, tomorrow night the Colorado Rockies are in town. 3-game series, and the Phillies next week for 2.
Womack, a couple of hops to Danny Garcia, makes the play, and the leadoff man retired.
Yeah, take a look at the defense behind Jay So. Jay So's not a strikeout pitcher, so he's going to have to rely on his defense. You got Piazza, Danny Garcia, Matsui, and Zeal in the infield. Floyd, Cameron, and Kareem Garcia in the outfield. Wilson behind the plate. Had Zeal 19 started third base this season. He thought his year was going to be coming off the bench occasionally. A lot of relaxation, soaking up the sun on a day like today. Well, he's seen a lot of action. He's doing very well.
Who was the ball player that said, bench me or trade
Johnny
me?
Blanchard.
Was it Blanchard?
So with Chico Ruiz also with the Angels.
Yeah.
How about the Blanchard story when he got traded from the Yankees to Kansas City? Started to cry. And they said, Mantle said to him, he said, oh, you got a chance to play now. You'll be at Kansas City. He says, that's why I'm crying.
That overexposure will kill you.
1-1 here to Renteria. Pujols behind him. The thing I also like today, and I almost get the sense it's for you, Ralph. Kiner's Corner today. The Mets are going retro. I mean, this is the way it was when I was growing up. Mets wearing the blue caps, pinstripes at home.
I love that. That's a great look.
Whacked into center, Cameron. And it's the first 2 outs for Jay So. We'll take a look at our keys to the game. Brought to you by Hyundai.
Okay, the Hyundai keys to this game. 8 healthy Mets bats. He certainly was shut down last night. Never scored a run. Teo to the 7th inning. Want some distance out of him. And Marquis' day at Shea Stadium.
Pitcher's story interesting. Jay So has not made it to the 7th in a start yet this year. The Mets would love that. And of course, Marquis on the Cardinal side got about 35 family here today. That's what we're talking about. That's the retro Met look.
Now let me ask you guys. The evolution of baseball, we've seen a lot of, I think, outstanding uniforms. You guys like to stop the clock.
I like the old days. That's the way it was meant to be.
You like air conditioning?
Yes, I do.
Okay, then you don't like the old days. It's as simple as that.
Well, I mean, look, the game has really changed now because fashion designers now design the uniforms, and so you get all those wonderful colors.
Well, you know where it started, the focus on the uniforms was with the San Francisco Giants. They used to taper their uniforms. That's why they had to go to double knit. Now you see that there, flannel uniform. Tom Seaver would never wear a flannel uniform. You know that. He likes air conditioning.
2-2 now.
But it's funny because the Giants with Willie Mays, Willie McCovey, those guys wanted to taper the uniforms as you look at Pujols swinging over that pitch. So Larry Jansen, who you play against, was the pitching coach for the Giants, Ralph, and he said, hey, we need double knits because they tape the uniforms. Pitchers can't kick their legs up.
Here's a great hitter right here in Pujols.
fastball. Rip foul.
You know, the interesting thing about Pujols is that he does not strike out.
That's something, isn't it, Ralph?
9 home runs and 11 strikeouts go with those 9 home runs.
Well, he's impressive in that department. How about Barry Bonds? Same type of hitter.
Same type. They really are opposite in the way they go about hitting. One holds his hands high. Wow.
Well, the Mets have now struck out Pujols once in each game of the series, making us look bad.
Yeah.
Well, it was not until about 12:40 today that Art Howe had a lineup ready to face Jason Marquis, and here's what eventually happens. Matsui leads off. Seal bats second today. And Floyd, Piazza, and Kareem Garcia. Vance Wilson, Mike Cameron, and Danny Garcia.
You mentioned Jason Marquis. There are his numbers. He brings them over from Staten Island. And he's 2-3 on the season. Opponents batting .254 against the right-hander.
And pitching against the Mets for the first time as a Cardinal, facing Matsui. Marquis came to the Cardinals as part of the trade that sent J.D. Drew to the Braves in the offseason. It was a 5-player deal.
And for some reason, J.D. Drew fell into Tony La Russa's doghouse and had trouble barking his way out. And Tony's a big dog lover. Once you get in the manager's doghouse, it's tough to get out.
I think the most amazing thing is that Langford got into the doghouse and got rid of him. And now he's back with Tony.
Wow, this should be fun. They have no chance. Yep, Pujols just catching it with his bare hand. And, well, we haven't seen Matsui bunt very much, but there he did the chop it right down off home plate.
I'll tell you one thing, that was a real Baltimore chop right there.
If he could do this every time up, he hit 700. They can never throw him out at first base on that. A Baltimore chop in Flushing.
Right off the plate.
You know, you wonder where that name came from. Back in the old days, in the 1800s, when they played baseball, the Baltimore Orioles were a big league club at that time, and the batters practiced chopping the ball off of the plate and the dirt
Off the plate.
and got the base hits, and that's where that name came from.
John McGraw played for him. Wilbur Robinson went on to manage the Dodgers.
Uncle Wilbur.
Now the Mets get Matsui on. One of the reasons Art Howe was willing to wait so long on the lineup was he really wanted Zeal to play today. The good record he has against Marquis that we showed you in the open, and the fact that Zeal fits perfectly in the 2 spot today. Right before the game, Edgar Renteria, Cardinals shortstop, came over to check with Zeal and be sure that he was okay after the accidental spike he took from Womack last night.
Actually, it was Zeal's fault. Zeal made his slide in the second and came up.
You know what, Brown? That's a great point, because I talked to Zeal this morning. He said the same thing. He said, he said it was really, this is mostly my problem here.
Here's the way he slid into second base. You didn't quite see that, but he comes up right here and gets spiked as he is hit by the high jumping.
Yeah, he didn't blame Womack at all. He said Womack was just trying to get over me and complete the double play. Zeal lashing one to left center. That's hit well. Taguchi back looking up. Gone! Zeal in the lineup and homers in the first inning.
Well, Art Howe waited, and it paid off. We showed the numbers just a few minutes ago in the open, and we mentioned how he has family and friends at the game. Marquis does, but he also has Zeal and Piazza, and they are certainly friends as far as swinging the bat against Jason Marquis.
How about that smile? He said last night when it first happened, the thing that he couldn't hear, his ear was ringing because of the wound he suffered in it. And right now, Art Howe likes the doctors because the doctors gave him a thumbs up about a half an hour ago to play, and he hits a 2-run homer in the first inning.
Think about this. This is the guy that the Mets signed, and they were hoping that he would help a lot of young players, wouldn't play a whole lot, would fill in here and fill in there. And here he comes with a bad cut ear, and Art Howe said, I got to wait to find out if he's ready to play, and he put him in the lineup, It's a 2-run home run. Look at the contact right there, Ralph.
Well, look at the hips are open there and the hands get through. That's perfect for a home run drive, and he did it well.
It's a great shot of his hands on the bat from our center field camera.
You know, the interesting thing about that is the first home run by a right-hand batter off of Marquis. First point of the year by a right-hand batter.
In his 9th start. It's been a while, Floyd, with the foul.
Well, defensively for the Redbirds as they trail 2-zip here. Take a look at Pujols, Womack, the Renteria, and Roland in the infield. Taguchi, Edmonds, and Sanders left to right in the outfield. Matheny behind the plate. Taguchi in his 6th start. He was looking up at his son. He said, I didn't see that ball. He didn't have to. Ball went over the left field fence. Last night, the last out of the game was made by Cliff Floyd. He just got under a pitch to left field. Just missing.
And the Mets got big 1-0 in that ball game last night. Tough loss.
This one toward the stands. Roland will. Ooh, he got close to that. In fact, he may have gotten the glove on.
He did. Ball is hit over there by the Nikon photographer's area. And right off the end of the glove. You know what Scott Rowland would tell you? He should have caught that ball.
Just wishing he could. If he had another 3 seconds to get to that where he could have stopped, planted, then leaned over.
He became concerned about that railing.
So Cliff Floyd lives on 3-2 and splinters the bat and rolls it into center field.
Well, it would have been a good catch if Scott Rowland caught that ball. The ball hit off his glove as you look at the umpires in this afternoon's game.
Bill Hahn, Rob Drake, Mark Carlson, Brian Runge. It's a young crew. And, you know, Ralph, your point about Marquis is interesting because you said he's been much tougher on right-hand batters this year, and the 2 Met batters with the terrific marks against him are right-handers.
Right-hand batters, right.
Seals already hurt him, now Piazza. And Art Howe wasn't kidding when he told Frank last week that Mike Piazza was really now going to be a first baseman. It's a week straight now, first base for Piazza.
So the folks that came to the ballpark today hoping to see Piazza swing the bat, get to see him swing the bat. Ordinarily, he wouldn't catch his games, right?
Yeah, a day game after a night game, he wouldn't be in the lineup, and he can do that when he's playing first base, play every day. That's a real advantage to being able to play a infield position or outfield position.
And think about it, the way he hits Marquis, he probably, if he was catching every day and not playing any first base, would probably have the afternoon off.
Matheny out to try to smooth Marquis out here. 2-0. You got to be careful with Piazza. Right field. Floyd will go only to second as Sanders returns it.
How about our open today? We featured Mike Piazza and Todd Zeile. And Zeile hit a home run in the first, and Piazza hits a frozen rope. Look at that. Head down, smoked that ball to right field. Panasonic is our digital replay right there. The bullet into right field.
And the Mets' first 4 batters had gone on base with base hits.
Watch this.
Yeah, that's the thing. Cliff, good reactions. Panasonic digital replay.
And Cliff, of course, is unable to run full speed because of the torn muscle in his leg. So he was moving quickly.
Well, Ralph,
not fast.
Ralph, the old hitter in you now understands. The Mets have this starting pitcher on the ropes here for a big first inning. Now you want to cash in. You need one more big hit.
There's no question about that because it's like the old story. After 5 straight hits, the manager goes out and talks to the catcher and says, "What's he throwing?" He says, "I don't know. I haven't caught one yet."
Did you ever try that line, Fran?
No, not the way I hit.
Yeah, as I said, the pitcher may not be your friend. So Kareem Garcia back in the lineup. Valent had been going for about 5 straight games. Marquis trying to get the double play ball as you see the updated career numbers.
Those were the shot the two headshots we used in the open. Look at those numbers. They've gone up already. It's only been 5 minutes. Todd Zeile, home run. Mike Piazza, a frozen rope single into right field. All happening 5 minutes after you saw that graphic.
Well, that's exactly what Marquis wanted. Even though he made an awkward throw to second, they still turned the double play.
Awkward but accurate. How about that throw?
Well, he got out of the way in a hurry, too.
Whatever happened to the crow hop? They tell pitchers you got to take the crow hop to set. Get your rhythm. But look at this. Marquis off balance. No crow hop. And quickly gets the ball to Renteria, who relays to first. That's a nice double play turned by St. Louis. Again, another look. Once you get it to Renteria, he has a real good throwing arm.
And that was a big, big 2-out right there.
So it's Floyd at third, 2 outs, and Vance Wilson batting.
All the innings of baseball are the same, although the last part of the ball game, you seem to count them more. What happens then? Right there, that could be the ball game. That play right there.
And it's going to keep the Mets from the big inning. They do get on the board, but Marquis keeps it from being worse. The hit that matters in the inning is Todd Zeile's 2-run homer, and it gives the Mets a 2-0 first inning lead. Now Chevrolet presents the Mets Fan Fest. It's before each of the weekend games here at Shea, right off of the subway entrance at Gate E. Weather permitting, enjoy it this weekend as the Mets play the Rockies, and kind of the first feeling of summer this weekend, the first Saturday night game here at Shea of this season. Tomorrow night, Saturday night, and Sunday day. As Jay So faces Scott Rowland to begin the second inning.
Scott Rowland came to the major leagues with a reputation for being an outstanding player. And when he went to spring training, they literally rolled out a red carpet for him when he walked into the clubhouse and on the first day of spring training. And he lived up to that billing. He is some good ball player.
And it was funny that it seemed in Philadelphia. Now, of course, the Mets, whether he was a Philly or a Cardinal, the Mets have seen this a heck of a lot. But it seemed like he could never really do in Philadelphia what he was expected, which was to be the next Schmidt.
That's pretty hard to do.
Yeah. And
that's a pretty good goal right there.
You know, Mike Schmidt told me, he raved about him. He said this kid is going to be a Hall of Famer. So move over, Ralph.
I think he's got every chance to be. Of course, he's really a good fielder, as was Mike Schmidt. And he has the ability to hit.
That's obviously his Hall of Fame someday will depend on how much he hits, because the glove, you're right, the glove's no question.
Well, he can hit, but, and let me tell you something, he's got good timing at the plate. Watch his hands go back. The preparatory hitch. As So heads to the plate, the hands go back. So releases the ball. Boy, he is just locked in, Ralph, isn't he?
He is a good prospect. And, of course, they got another one on that ball club in Pools. What a player he is.
You know, we were talking as Art Howe's out in the field talking to the umpiring crew. We were talking about the preparatory hitch. It's a term that I believe Ted Williams coined that term. And the preparatory hitch is the hands going back into the hitting position.
I think with Williams, more than the hands going back, he had the knee cocked. It would go back toward his back leg, and that would move the bat back automatically. The whole body would move back.
They're going to take, there's something that Jay So has on his wrist that they're going to ask him to take it off. I don't blame him. But no, I guess it has something to do with the ground.
I was wondering if it was the bracelet at first, but it's not. It's. Well, I see the Cardinals are talking about Jay So
pitching in front of the rubber,
making contact with the rubber. Exactly right.
You know, years ago, before there was a lot of television involved, I caught guys that would start on the rubber with their pivot foot, and instead of turning on the rubber, they would step a foot in front of the rubber. And of course, when you're hitting, you're looking at their hands. Watch, when you're hitting, you're looking at the hand of the pitcher, not the foot. But for some reason, the Cardinals have picked up that Jay So didn't keep his foot on the rubber. Now take a look at this again. So there's some dirt between his foot and the rubber. Here's the pitch, and here is Roller. That's a nice swing. But you know, it's funny because, like I said years ago, they would catch pitchers doing that. Nice pitch.
Yeah, he comes back. Off speed, gets rolling.
And that's 2 in a row to 2 good hitters, 2 strikeouts. Pujols striking out and Roland striking out.
He had Roland fooled right there.
See, you know who pitched in front of the rubber when he got older? All the time. You had to really watch him. Warren Spahn.
Did he?
He'd be a whole step in front of the rubber.
Well, Don McMahon, who threw hard, he pitched with Warren Spahn. He did it.
Maybe
I love it.
I bet he did.
You hitters are trying to tell me that pitchers might cheat.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe you guys.
There's a good
say
possibility. Yeah.
Well, you know, one of the funniest things I've seen, I was playing in this game with the Giants. Don McMahon was pitching. He threw very hard. And between innings, all of a sudden, Ron Reed, the big pitcher with the Braves, was screaming. They brought the umpire out. McMahon was pitching a foot in front of the rubber. He threw hard to begin with.
He did. Yes, he did.
Good movement there by Jay So. Getting the fastball up in the high 80s. It's a good sign. 2 strikes on Edmonds.
The way they used to do it, they start like this, right here in the rubber, and when they start into their windup, they would move that front foot in front of the rubber. And it was easier to do it back then because they had the big windup. See, this is a compact windup like most pitchers have now. Now his foot, it's not really in touch with the rubber. I would say a lot of pitchers don't have contact with the rubber, but it's by a matter of a quarter of an inch.
Right.
It's really a small amount.
Did you ever try going out there and turning your foot and keeping it in contact with this? It's extremely uncomfortable. So they would have holes in front of the rubber here, and they would start here, the foot would go into the hole, and they would turn and throw. That's very uncomfortable to stay in contact with the rubber. This could be Tony La Russa trying to get Jay So's concentration and foul him up. Tony told me before the ball game, this is a big game for the Cardinals.
Yeah, Tony, of course, he had a law degree, so he knows how to manipulate the rules.
That's right. He passed the bar.
That's what Jim Leland, his buddy, said. He said, Jim passed the bar, and I never passed one up in my life.
Hit the left, and Floyd is under this one. Well, you know what Tony La Russa did Tuesday night after the Mets rallied on their pair of 2-out hits in the 9th inning. Tony had the Cardinal team bus drop him off in Central Park at midnight.
Go for a little
Went
jog?
for a little walk. He said he needed to be by himself, and he went out and walked around the park a little bit, stopped at a place near the park for a little while. Just that's how he handled the loss.
So you recommending that a
no,
stroll
I
in
have
Central Park at
in
midnight?
fact, I admit Tony's a far braver man than I am.
I'll tell you one thing, that's not unusual. Managers would do that. Also, ball players go for a walk. I mean, a long walk.
I heard of a manager in the minor leagues. It's like Kirby Farrell was his name. Was kind of an eccentric. Walked home from the ballpark in his uniform and spikes. He was so bad.
He managed at Cleveland. I knew him well.
Reggie Sanders with the ball. Now, wasn't it the year he pitched for the Mets, I believe, didn't Mike Hampton get knocked out of a game in San Francisco early in the year and walked about 6 miles?
Well, Freddie Hutchinson used to always, when he got knocked out of a ball game, he would walk home.
I caught some,
also stopping all the bars on the way home.
I caught some pitches that if they walked home every time they get knocked out,
they'd be in great shape.
They'd be in terrific shape.
I thought Hampton's, I think that was the one that turned him around because he was having that rough start to that year with the Mets. And he got clobbered in San Francisco, went and walked about 5-6 miles, and from that point on was a terrific pitcher for the Mets. This one may be playable, not going to drift.
You know, back in the old days when Rusty Staub was with the Mets and they played Wrigley Field, he would jog home back to the hotel.
Wait, then go to dinner.
Yeah. Well, that was when he was thin.
I won't go that far. Just because he left you here at the ballpark last night, forgot you.
I can't believe that.
Rusty did?
Yeah. He was going to take me home after the book signing. I wasn't going to do the game.
Right.
So I said, what time are you going to be through? He says, I'll be through about 8:15 or so. I said, well, it's about the time I'll be through signing the books. So I said, how about I ride back to Manhattan, downtown?
He better deal.
He says, well, he said, remind me because I might forget. Well, I came down and looked for him at 8:20, 8:30. He forgot. He went home without me.
Now, Lorraine Hamilton told us today that he felt very, very bad about it. Do you believe that?
No, I don't.
I don't either.
They did it on purpose, I'm sure of that.
Better deal, Jim. So then we shouldn't mention that Rusty's got his big function here next Tuesday.
I wouldn't talk about it.
Okay.
Will there be food?
Rusty will host his annual barbecue here next Tuesday night.
Look at that picture of the big fella.
Yeah, the Police and Firefighter Widows and Children's Fund that Rusty's so strongly involved with.
He does a great job with that.
Yeah. That one up into the stream into right center. That could be trouble as it carries. And nope. Boy, that looked like it got knocked down. A place where the ball usually flies here. After Jason finishes the top of the second, Jason Marquis comes back out, and more work as the umpires dig that little trench
Yeah, they
right
like
in front of the rubber.
They like to dig a hole in front of the rubber. Although, you know, I haven't seen this much concern about contact with the rubber in an awful long time. I could see if they were stepping a foot or 2 feet in front of the rubber and throwing, but they're close enough to consider it contact.
As like anything else, contact, you don't have to stand on top of it. Contact, as most pitchers do, it's usually standing in front of the very side edge of your shoe.
I would say that the majority of pitchers that pitch in the major leagues do not have contact with the pitching rubber on 95% of the pitches. But they're right there, right in front.
Right.
Because they go sideways right there.
Exactly.
Now they come off right now when the ball is falling.
2 quick strikes. Cameron, who's trying his best to play, and you give Mike Cameron a lot of credit for this. He's now out, so Mike didn't really want to talk about it until medical people discovered yesterday he has a tear of a ligament, pinky finger of his hand, and that's something that will not get better if he plays.
But you know, the key is everybody's got to remember it.
Renteria with the scoop throws him out.
It's almost like you need a name tag. Remember this, because after a while, your production falls off offensively. People forget about the injury. I bet, Ralph, you went through it with your back.
No doubt about that. And people, when the production stops, they forget about a lot of things. And the reason why a lot of players play hurt all the time. And there's a reason.
In a way, it's not good because you're hurting yourself in the eyes of the fans and your teammates and the manager and the coaches, because they tend to forget also.
Well, in the old days, they wouldn't tell the manager that they were hurt because they were afraid of leaving the lineup and never getting back. Like Wally Pipp.
They say that baseball folklore. Wally Pipp really was in a bad slump when they put Lou Gehrig at first base.
But he actually was taking batting practice, and he was hurt. Really, he hurt his neck or something like that, and then got out of the lineup, and of course never got back in ever for the rest of his career with the Yankees. He did get back in the lineup when he was traded away.
We just had a shot of Todd Zeile with the ear problem. He's got stitches in his ear. That wouldn't have an effect on the field as much as Cameron's hand would.
Because your hands are very important to hitting. I don't think your ear figures in there.
You can tell the manager, I can't hear you.
Garcia fouls it off on 2-2. Is that a scout? It's a pretty sophisticated scorebook there. Brolin makes the play, 2 down. A reminder that it's WNBA season beginning this weekend. The Liberty return to MSG Network. Home opener against the Houston Comets. Sunday live at 4 o'clock on MSG. Jay So with 2 down. Jason Marquis would like, get this, have a much calmer inning. Marquis pitched at Shea Stadium 9 years ago when he was in high school at Tottenville High School on Staten Island. Jason Marquis pitched here and pitched his high school to the New York City championship. How about that thrill to do it in Shea Stadium in 1 year, and then the next year at Yankee Stadium pitched Tottenville to a 2nd straight title.
And another one of his interesting experiences was back in actually in 2001. He was a starter in the first game played after 9/11.
Right.
Pitching for Atlanta against the Mets.
He takes care of Chase so quickly. First strikeout, so we'll go to the third at Shea. 2-0 Mets.
We're back at Shea Stadium, and as everyone knows, reading is a very important fundamental in life. It's a building for learning, a building block for learning, and we're joined by Deborah Seidel, who's the executive director of Everybody Wins. And Deborah, your organization partners schools with corporations in helping students learn to read, and I know the Mets and PS 92 here in Queens very actively involved.
They are. We actually could not have a better partner than the Mets. Their volunteers are among our most enthusiastic and most active, and we value so much groups like the Mets that bring people at lunchtime into schools to give children the pleasure of reading. We are always looking for new opportunities for new partners and welcome anybody who can join us. The Mets are the star example of successful corporate school partnerships.
Well, it is a very worthwhile endeavor. 30 Mets employees spend an hour a week helping the students read, and I'm joined here by a couple of the students who have benefited. Dana Shepard. Dana, what do you learn from the program?
I learned that I learned about a lot of pictures because we're reading a pictures book, and I learned that if you keep on reading, you'll do very well and you'll get on to the next grade.
Well, that's very important indeed to move on, and Quincha Richards is with us. And Quincha, how much fun is it?
It's so fun. You can't believe it. If you're a kid, you would love it.
Yeah, you like it when the employees from the Mets come by and help you out?
Yeah, I love reading.
What's your favorite type of book?
3 Days to Perfection.
Very nice. Well, we're joined by two of the beneficiaries. There's a whole group of students here with us from PS 92. And Deborah, congratulations on the organization's efforts.
Well, thank you. And of course, we owe a lot of our success to the Mets.
All right, fellas, let's go back to you.
Thank you, Maddie. Mike Matheny at the plate for the Cardinals. You can almost figure something like this could happen. Jay So hasn't walked a leadoff batter yet this year. And he just walks the guy, Taguchi, leading off the inning, who's really not much of a threat at the plate.
Yeah, but the other side of the coin is he's given up a lot of leadoff hits.
So what you're saying, it all evens out.
Yeah, right. It doesn't make any difference how you get on. Base hitter, I'd take a base hit.
Oh, I'd rather a base hit. You know that
adds to your pocket.
You know that scream you hear in the little leagues, a walk's as good as a hit?
Doesn't work.
Nah. I mean, it's nice. It's a nice thought.
You never want to hear that little. Swing the bat. And coaches, come on, coaches, tell you, let your kids swing the bat.
That's right.
Can't learn to hit by walking, can you?
So what you're saying is put a lot of pressure on those kids.
No, swing the bat. We used to hate that when you hear a coach, 10-year-old, telling a 10-year-old kid to take pitches. Come on.
You don't see those kids from Latin America coming here taking pitches.
They come off that island because they swing the bat.
Mariano Duncan's greatest contribution to the game was that line. And you can't walk your way off the island.
That's his greatest contribution. Yeah. I think that's a rip.
Matheny with a swing there, ruled by Bill Hahn. It's 1-2.
Take a look at that swing again. Matheny doing all the catching. Night games, day games, following night games. And they say, look, it just worked with the pitchers. Just call a good game, throw runners out. You don't have to hit.
Nice block by Wilson.
That's like the world's biggest lies. The check is in the mail.
That's exactly right. You don't have to hit right. Went and talked to the general manager during the offseason and say, you know, I worked the pitchers well. He'd say, and?
Where'd you hit?
That's exactly right.
Taguchi's bluffed a couple. Now he is going, and Matheny put it in play. He's going to advance Taguchi.
There it goes.
Zeal makes the play, and a heads-up play. Boy, that good base running.
I'm surprised this is not done more often.
Hit and run play, so the runner's going, and the ball hits slowly to third. Runner gets to second base and sees he can make it to third. And a good strong throw by Piazza. Not in time.
You know why this should be done more often? Because it's easier to do this than to steal a base. Look at the throw Piazza had to do. He had to throw that ball from first to third. You got a huge jump coming around second base. Basically a running lead off of second base. Zeal had to throw it across the infield, then it had to go back across the infield. But it's not done often enough.
And also, that was a good play, putting on the hit and run play. I don't think the teams that play today use the hit and run enough. They are more satisfied to sacrifice and use an out up than to put the hit and run on. In the old days, the players put the hit and run on themselves, not the manager.
Marquis has not been a very good hitter in the big leagues. His career, 91 at-bats, 8 hits. And an opportunity here. I mean, all he has to do is hit a ground ball. And now the Mets are going to bring the infield in with 2 strikes now. They've seen those first 2 swings, and Art has to bring the infield in.
Yeah, why would you play back with the pitcher up?
Well, the other thing is there'd be break on contact. I'd still have him break on contact.
With Taguchi's speed, I'd agree.
Yeah, and the way Marquis swinging, more than likely, if he does make contact, he'll hit right on top of that ball. It won't be a scalding line drive or a hard hit ball.
Jay So will find a way to strike him out. And he did. Fastball foul tipped into Wilson's glove, so there's a perfect example of a guy. Jason Marquis still young, and that's a case where you really should take some extra work on your hitting to help yourself.
Well, you know, it's funny. You can stay in a game 2 more innings than usual if you can at least be a threat.
I mean, the first 2 pitches there, if he just hits a ground ball, he's going to get that run in. Mets were giving up the run.
The infield back. That's right. Infield back at short and second. They were in at first and third.
So a strike to Womack. Zeal has to stay in at third here to protect against the bunt. Womack last night showed the drag bunt. Fouled away. Something Womack had not done much of in his career. Previously, he was a push bunter. But last night, took advantage of Piazza at first with the drag bunt.
I'm amazed that more hitters who can run don't bunt for base hits, whether it's a push bunt or a drag bunt. The only hitters that can drag a ball is left-handed hitters. Right-handed hitters cannot drag a bunt.
And we talked about it when it happened last night, and I saw our colleagues over at Baseball Tonight made an issue of it as well. It's something the Mets are going to see with Mike Piazza now playing more first base. You got to believe that those who are able to bunt are going to test the Mets on the right side of the diamond. 1-2. Tapped slowly. Garcia has to hurry and does to get Womack, and so Jay So able to pitch through the leadoff walk and the first to third on the ground out. The Mets jumped on Jason Marquis in the first inning. Matsui chopped the ball off home plate, reached safely, and then Zeal followed with a home run. Jay So has backed that up for the first 3, and now the Mets start their second pass through the lineup.
You know, watching Matt Lachlan on the pregame show today, he interviewed our colleague Ralph Kiner. It was a terrific interview about the new book, which the title is
Baseball Forever.
It's a terrific book, and he talked about some of the Hollywood stories, which are fascinating. And you mentioned Janet Leigh, who was married to Tony Curtis. Between innings today, we had a lot of Elvis Presley music. Did you know that Tony Curtis was the reason Elvis Presley dyed his hair black? Yeah, he liked the way it looked, and that's why he dyed it black. How about that? You know, we try to tie the pregame show into stuff like that.
You ever think about working for E-Network? Man, this is incredible info.
I hope the story's accurate. By the way, the reason you can say this is because Elvis Presley was a big baseball fan and used to listen to Harry Carey all the time, who broadcast the Cardinal games.
And the Cardinal games were very big, going all the way down through Tennessee, and a lot of people listen to the Cardinals. They got a great fan base.
Well, the reason this whole thing came up is Ted said he spent a few nights on the lawn at Graceland.
Ted did?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Me and Elvis, man. We go way back.
Hey, there's Ralph.
There we go.
With Liz Taylor. Where's the bodyguard? Oh, whoa.
Mr. Williams, yeah.
Esther
How about
Williams.
that, huh?
You were the bodyguard. Oh, look at this.
Okay, now, Ralph, tell me, is there an upset? Is there a picture of you with another baseball player? Or is it just you with women?
No, I have one with Honda Martin.
Did you?
Right.
He didn't look like Liz Taylor.
He had, I was going to say better legs, but I shouldn't say that.
We don't want to get carried away. Well, there was a bodyguard, right, on the date you had with Liz Taylor? She was 17 years old. Somebody had to be protected.
No, she wasn't protected. That was a good guy then.
Oh, because about 20 years later, you would have needed a bodyguard. There's a player. Just stand the man.
That was the home run I hit in the All-Star game that tied the game in the 9th inning, and Shane Dish was in the ballpark. He's going to be in the air after the game. Hit the home run and won that All-Star game in the 14th inning.
Was that the one where Ted Williams hurt his elbow?
I hit the ball, and he broke his elbow and played 9 innings.
So Matsui leads off the inning with a walk. Mets have the big bats coming up in this inning, and it means it's a good inning for Catherine Parker from Brentwood. She's our contestant in the Amtrak Acela home run inning. If there's a Met homer in the inning, Catherine will win tickets to an upcoming game. If it goes over that sign in right center, a trip for 2 anywhere on the East Coast with Acela goes to Catherine. From Amtrak, your trip starts here.
There's a sign out in right field. Good luck, Catherine. Hope she wins those tickets for 2. Tell you, if Tad Zeal hits over that Acela sign, that's going the other way. She will have a shot with Cliff Floyd batting next.
Meanwhile, Matsui, the runner, and something the Cardinals have done a great job of this year that played into last night's game is that teams don't even try to run against them.
Yeah, but a guy like Matsui, you hope would, and I'm sure he's on his own and running, and if he picks up that aggressiveness at first base, you can't let a catcher who threw out, and he's a good throwing catcher. He threw out 28% last year. There's a lot of room for error.
Blunt start. Let's look at Zeal's first inning swing.
And it's out of the ballpark, and the Mets have a 2-0 lead. They got their first 4 batters on base with base hits, and then a double play snapped the rally.
Todd Zeal hit that ball over the Chevrolet sign left center field, similar to the ball that Cliff Floyd hit the other night over the same sign.
And he gets a new Chevrolet. Oops, hold the entire family. One thing that you told me that if you had been my agent, I would have had Cadillacs for life.
Absolutely.
Well, the one thing I was credited for saying home run hitters drive Cadillacs, singles hitters drive Fords. And you would have been able to
I would have worked, yeah, absolutely.
Our award-winning director, Bill Webb, has just informed me that he would like Fran to be his agent.
You know what? Webby's probably sensitive to anybody representing him right now, but he's a sensitive guy.
Bill Webb has won.
Listen to him.
Up, sawed off, and Womack trying to make a tough play and does nicely. Zeal beats the relay. That's well done by Womack against a fast runner.
Womack started his career in the major leagues as an infielder, then went to the outfield. And
by the way,
he's back in the infield.
That's our Panasonic digital replay. That's a nice play by Womack. Take a look at normal speed. You know, we can take a look at it again right here. Normal speed, bat sawed off. When you see a guy move around a lot like a Womack, do you feel that he has the ability to play different positions, or they can't find a spot for him, as opposed to Joe McEwing, who looks very good at all positions?
I think that it's probably a combination of both. He has good speed and moves well, but he also hasn't been able to, well, playing the outfield, he couldn't hit the ball hard enough.
By the way, what kind of a commission would I get if I did represent you on that deal?
I would say, yeah,
go high.
Take you up to dinner one time.
That's good. I'll take care of it.
He's got a place called Parkside. He'll take you over.
That's right. You've been there with
Introduce you to
Ralph.
Tony.
Ted's been there. Ralph's been over there.
Yeah, we went there last night.
It's
The
terrific.
owner of the restaurant, Tony, is he's a real movie buff. He knows every movie ever put on the screen.
A big sports fan.
And a big one, yeah.
1-2 now to Floyd. Well, the fact that teams don't run against the Cardinals came into play in this inning. The Mets have Matsui at first. Zeal, who they like, is that 2-hole hitter. And no attempt by Matsui to be in motion. Oh, that gets drilled, and the Mets have 2 on for Piazza.
Uh-oh. He's had so many problems with those legs. Oh, boy.
I think he'll be all right. It's just a little bruise.
It's like sticker shock, man, when you see it coming at you.
We'll have to see where it got him. Went down like that one really hit. On the ankle, perhaps? Let's see.
Got him in the calf.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Well, Marquis been trying to pitch in, and he hasn't really commanded the inside yet. Lost it enough there to hit Cliff. And the Mets, if Floyd can hang in there, the Mets end up ahead here. Now they've got 2 on in a situation where they're going to have to pitch to Piazza.
Piazza with a line shot to right field his first time up. Last night he played in his 1500th baseball game. That's a lot of ball games for a catcher. His slugging average for the 1500 games is 9th in the history of baseball and the best by a catcher ever in the history of the game, except for one thing. Jimmy Fox is on that list of 9. He did catch, but not a lot.
108 games. He was part of our Geico quiz one day on the games here on Fox Sports, or I believe it might have been MSG Network, but he was an answer to the quiz.
Jimmy Fox, one of the great players of all time, doesn't get the credit he should get. He had 58 home runs one year. He won back-to-back MVP awards playing for the Philadelphia A's.
2-0. First inning, Piazza went to right on 2-0 for a hit. There, got a fastball 2-0 and tried to go the other way.
He almost killed Cliff Floyd first time up. Right there, he fouls the ball off. He's got a good swing today. You know, it's funny, you mentioned the numbers, those 1,500 games. There are like 500-plus players who have done the same thing. Played 15-plus 100 games. And when you think of where he was drafted, there were 500 guys drafted ahead of him.
Man, he was, in fact, he was lucky to get drafted.
Boy, Marquis did a nice job there. He got away with the 2-0 pitch and then ran one in on Mike's hands. Infield fly was called there as Pujols caught him.
Take a look at it again. Just beat him a little bit. See the barrel of that bat? That's a day game after a night game stroke right there.
Well, got the second out. Now it'll be up to Kareem Garcia for the Mets. Play ball off Garcia's bat in the first inning.
Garcia behind that fastball fouls it back out of play. He's been in a real deep hitting slump.
Got off to he was on a torrid pace, swinging the bat in a very hot fashion.
Marquis should get out of trouble here as Roland calls it. So the Mets, a couple of runners, a walk and a hit batsman, but unable to cash in. We go to the fourth now. 2-0 Mets. Fourth inning, it's shade time for our Aflac trivia question this afternoon. And on that date just over 4 years ago, who did the Mets trade to St. Louis to acquire Joe McEwing? You know what that is? That's a day game after a night game Aflac question from Charlie Cucchiara.
What was that question again?
I just had to make sure Charlie was still listening to us, that's all.
Who'd the Mets trade to get Joe McEwen?
Here's Edgar Renteria.
Charlie had a tough night.
Charlie's already plotting revenge. It didn't take him long. Renteria fly to center his first time. Pujols and Roland will follow.
Who said the stolen base wasn't important in baseball?
I'll tell you what you want to watch. Watch the pitch. Look where that pitch is. And that's the story of this. I mean, this wound up determining the game. But the point is that Scott Rowland took that pitch, and he has said he took it on purpose to let Renteria
and that
steal
pitch
the base.
was one he could hammer, too.
Right. And Ralph, now, I ask you this. Rowland said the reason he did that was because he doesn't like hitting with a runner moving.
Well, it's very distracting. You're a really good hitter. You don't want anybody moving around out there because it takes something out of your concentration on the baseball.
Would you say more so at second base, Ralph, than stealing from first?
Yeah, right. And of course, one time Gene Mock put a infielder back at second base with a good hitter at the plate and had the infielder jump up and down like doing what do you call it?
Jumping jacks?
Jumping jacks, yeah.
I mean,
and they made him stop.
Okay, watch. I mean, this is a ball. This is the first pitch of the at-bat now. Rowland, I mean, that's a ball he could take a pretty good rip at.
But
Right down the middle.
He had to give him an opportunity to get in scoring position. But again, you know how they say stolen base isn't important? That's a huge stolen base.
Set up the winning run of the ball game in a 1-0 game.
And the counter we saw Cameron was that Cameron, as a pinch runner last night, did not get a chance to steal. Foul back. Todd Seal was batting and quickly got into an 0-2.
Yeah, but he had a chance in the first pitch or second pitch.
Well, first pitch he could have, right?
Yeah.
Seal swung at it. But the thing I thought was so interesting was to hear Rowland say, like, I've heard so many good right-hand hitters through the years have told me that they hate hitting with a man running from first base. They find it distracting.
Well, I got a feeling if you see a sign, you're aware that it's going to happen. You're not taken by surprise. In that case, Rowland took the pitch. The base was stolen. Now, on the other hand, when you mentioned Todd Zeal and Mike Cameron, there has to be a discussion, or there has to be signs involved, because late in the ball game, especially, you got to get somebody into scoring position. And if you got a guy like Cameron on first base, you've got a number of options.
That was a nice little tussle there, and Renteria pops it up in the first half.
Well, you know, going back to that situation in the ball game, when they took Piazza out for pinch hitter, you question that because the game was tied at nothing.
Pinch runner, right?
And put the pinch runner in for him. And then if you're thinking about baseball, you're thinking about, well, the pinch runner is a stolen base guy, and it was the center fielder.
But you also have to take into consideration the catcher's reputation.
Catcher throws the ball well. But at that point in the ball game was the bottom of the 8th inning when it happened?
Bottom of the 7th.
But it's coming to the point where certain managers just don't want to waste a guy getting thrown out at second base.
Well, the odds of scoring from second base are certainly way better than scoring from first.
Well, you said Art Howe, and I think we were definitely surprised last night when he took Piazza out. Art Howe obviously took a lot of heat today.
He had a good explanation.
And his Art's position was that he had a depleted bench. The only thing Cameron could do was run. Could not even play the field last night. And that he wanted to try to get the run there in the 7th to play a 9-inning game and to try to get traction. That was Art's explanation.
Well, plus Art last week talked to me about it. He said that's going to be the difficult thing. When to take Mike Piazza out of the ball game for defensive reasons. And last night, he gave up one at bat by taking him out of the game, or possibly one at bat.
Hold foul by Pujols way out front there.
Or you just hope that Mike gets better at first base where you can leave him in the ball game.
I just think, again, that's so hard. He's the leadoff hitter in the 7th. He's the guy that people come here to pay to see.
Yeah,
I think it's very difficult last night. That was one that obviously Art's trying to win the ball game, but that was one that I do think was a hard one to watch. 3-2.
Of course, you're gonna. Important part of your ball club and winning a ball game is Mike Piazza. First night here, Cliff Floyd hit a home run. As you look at Scott Rowland on deck. Cliff Floyd hit the home run because Mike Piazza was on deck. I should say got the base hit to win the game because Mike Piazza was on deck.
Well, I think that's why I have a problem, is that here's a guy that's foul weather. And again, it's easy to sit up here and talk about this, but Mike Piazza in the last couple of weeks has hit a home run in the 11th inning to win a game and a home run in the 9th inning to keep a game alive that they won. So that's why I think it's difficult to see him come out of the game in the 7th.
Yeah, of course, you know, he's much more proficient behind the plate receiving the ball. He struggled with his throwing. But Art Howe, a lot of things go into a decision in that dugout that we are not privy to.
And Pujols hits a high fly ball to left. Does this have enough carry? And it's going to. Floyd watching that one go out. Pujols hits his 10th of the year, and the Cardinals are on the board.
Well, Pujols, of course, one of the great young ball players that has hit the scene here in the major leagues. He is tied for the most home runs hit in his first 3 years in the history of baseball. And he has a chance to be one of the super players that the Cardinals have ever had. And they've had some wonderful, great players. Dan Musial, of course, comes to mind right offhand. Rogers, Hornsby.
You see that swing again from Pujols, and he knew that ball had a shot at going out, so he watches it as it sails over the fence in left field.
He has the ability, and you saw it right there, to hit fly balls that keep on traveling. That's when you have the home run swing, and he certainly has that.
Well, that's something right there Jason needed to get rolling on just 2 pitches. Renteria started the inning with a 9-pitch at bat, popped up. This is the 8th pitch to Pujols.
Watch this, right around the post. Great balance. Everything opens up. Head on the ball. Arms extended. Would you say a little bit too much, Ralph?
Yeah, but he can adjust from there. He's got the arms out and the bat's out, and he also has that front leg as straight as it can be.
And he is strong because the power was spent and still hit it out.
But he gets that backspin on the ball, and it carries out to the outfield and then keeps on going.
So 2-1 now for the Mets. Edmonds the batter with 2 down. Cardinals have 1 hit, but they forced Jason to throw a bunch of pitches. Jason's already over 70. We're only in the 4th inning.
Well, today they want you, if you are a starter, to get at least 5 or 6 innings in, and then they'll get you out of there.
Now the Mets need to get guys to go a little deeper.
Yeah, and the manager and the coach, the pitching coach, they know the pitchers that they can get the ball to and expect him to want to stay in the ball game. And the other pitchers who they give the ball to, and they know they're going to come out of the ball game.
And there's a walk to Edmonds, the 2nd issued by Jason.
You know, Edmonds has a interesting thing about his career. He got hit in the head, actually the neck, and was on the ground and was paralyzed. They put him on a stretcher and took him to the hospital. The ambulance driver that took him there got lost, and he went through a toll, and he had to come back through that same toll. And when he went through the toll driver, I mean the toll man, wouldn't let the driver through because he didn't have any money. Now, here's a guy that's out cold in the ambulance, and the toll person won't let the ambulance go through because the driver didn't have three bucks for the toll.
He had a job to do, that guy, and he just did his job. Might have overdone it.
Fortunately, the assistant GM was in the ambulance with him. He had a $10 bill, gave it to the driver to give it to the toll man, and they got him to the hospital. Unfortunately, he was all right, and he came back and played. But that's what it was when you can't go through the toll because you have no money and you're in an ambulance.
The ambulance company, that's scary. They hired an ambulance driver who didn't know where the hospital was. We didn't know where the hospital was.
No, he got lost.
That would worry me. Great Reggie Sanders takes a ball 1-1.
There was a catcher named Jerry May who got hurt up in Montreal. They put him in an ambulance and took him to the hospital. On the way, the ambulance got in the accident. So then they had to send an ambulance to take the ambulance driver and Jerry May to the hospital.
Now this inning is a little bit of an alarm here because Jay So's thrown a lot of pitches. And now 2 down and 2 on for the Cardinals. But the hope for the Mets now, they've got a fairly light hitter coming to the plate in Taguchi. Taguchi played with Ichiro for many years in with the Oryx Blue Waves. Rick Peterson's going to make a trip to the mound.
So got off to a great start. Went through the first 3 1/3 innings, but out giving up a base hit. And now the control has really disappeared. Cardinals have 2 hits in the inning and have 1-1 back. And the Mets now lead by only 1 at 2-1.
And you know, right there, Ralph, Fran, you just saw one of the challenges Rick Peterson has been addressing, dealing with Jay So, who has spent 7 years in the States pitching in the Mets organization and knows English but has an interpreter, and most of the conversations off the field go through an interpreter. Well, on the mound the interpreter can't be there. Rick Peterson's been working on it, trying to make sure that Jay So can understand what he's trying to tell him when he comes to the mound.
It's going to be a rule change next year. Interpreters can be on the field. That's my feeling.
You're reading, right?
Yes.
1 ball here to Taguchi. Line, and that's off of Piazza, and that's going to bring in 1 run. And they'll hold up Reggie Sanders at third, so the Cardinals tie the game here in the 4th inning, and Taguchi, the guy that's not been much of a hitter, and an off-field line drive there for a double.
Well, the ball was hit very hard, and Piazza not getting to that ball. I don't know whether he could have or should have.
Well,
what do you think?
It appeared from now that watching that replay, it appeared that Mike reacted late. Whether he didn't see the ball.
Probably didn't see the ball. He didn't pick the ball up, and that's one of the problems about playing at Shea in the daytime. The white shirts now with a good warm weather.
It did. It hit his glove.
But he reacts very slowly here, and I don't think he saw the ball.
Yeah, just tipped the glove, but it's because of the late reaction for whatever reason. Now Matheny will be intentionally walked to bring up Marquis. Well, nonetheless, that's still a good swing against. So Taguchi's a guy that the Cardinals signed to a 3-year deal, and he got over here and he just had no chance to hit. And they've worked a lot with Taguchi in their farm system for 2 years to get him to the point where he can even produce a line drive like that. And Mitchell Page, the hitting coach of the Cardinals, has a lot of credit for doing that. Popped up here by Marquis on the first pitch. Piazza the line on this one, and that puts an end to the inning. Well, it wound up being an 8-batter high-pitch inning. Pujols homered. Cardinals wind up getting the tie. Okay, so did we tell you what a great job Charlie Kuchera did today on the Aflac trivia question? All right, let's find out who the Mets traded for. How about that? See, now I didn't know that, so Charlie, you stumped me. Jesse Orosco back as a Met briefly, and then went on to the Cardinals and pitched for another bunch of teams before he finally retired this year.
He pitched in more games than anybody in baseball history.
The amazing thing about Orosco is Wilson leads off of the Mets at whatever age he was this year. He had a guaranteed contract and decided finally in the spring to retire. He didn't have to make the ball club. He had guaranteed.
How about Mondes? You see what happened to him? He left the ball club.
So there's more dugout talk with Peterson and Jay So.
Left the ball club and went home to hear the decision on the suit against it.
That's a nice leadoff hit for Vance Wilson. He'll end up at second base. as the Mets try to generate the go-ahead run at the bottom of the order to lead off double. Good start.
Mondesi came back and he was going to make a decision about whether he's going to play or not. And he decided to toss it all in yesterday and pass on playing. He was put on the suspended list. He got $192,000 from salary this year. He had a contract for $1,750,000. He gave up the difference in that contract and quit playing baseball. That's a ton of money.
That's a bad knee-jerk reaction.
Wow. Of course, he was sued for his lack of payment to his friend who gave him batting instructions, and the suit awarded the batting instructor something like $650,000 for the batting practice and the batting instruction.
2-0 now to Cameron. At the very least, trying to make sure he gets Vance Wilson to third. Fouled away. Well, two things I would wonder about. Mondesi's made a lot of money in his career. I don't know how much. I don't know how much he has. What he's done with it, obviously.
He's made a lot.
But he's made a lot of money, and secondly, it may well be that he just decided he didn't want to give Mario Guerrero
all that money.
He didn't want to give it to him. 2-1 to Cameron. Foul back.
I'm assuming there was a written instrument or document involved. I'm sure the judge just didn't say, you know what, this sounds like a good idea to me.
Well, of course, it's
but why would you sign? If that was
I don't know.
Why would you sign to pay someone that kind of money for batting instruction?
Don't know. He could have gotten you for what, half the price?
Cameron's going to find the hole. Wilson had to go back, and he'll hustle to third. Wilson had to retreat. The ground ball hit in front of him. He could not risk getting caught.
Here's that base hit. Cameron hitting the ball in the hole between short and third. Of course, Vance Wilson to make sure the ball's beyond Renteria before he moved to third base. And once it passes Renteria, Vance Wilson hustles over to third, and the runners now are on the corners with nobody out here in the bottom of the fourth inning in a 2-2 contest.
So Danny Garcia gets the chance to get the Mets back in front. Cardinals going to play this double play depth in the middle. Rolling even at third. They're moving around. Renteria is jockeying himself around there, but they're playing. They're not back. They're playing about halfway.
The reason for the infield to play back at halfway is to, of course, make the double play if they have a chance, but also to prevent a big inning by playing in. It's a lot easier, as you would think, to know to get a base hit as a batter with the infield in. One ball player once said it's like making a racehorse out of a mule. And it's really easy to hit when you got the infield in.
2-1 to Garcia. Look, and these are the situations that Mets batting coach Denny Walling has been preaching to his hitters, all of them this year. 3-1. And when a team struggles for runs, these are the at-bats that haunt you. Not, runner at third, less than 2 down, where an out can bring the run in, and it's where the Mets have had their problems this year.
Garcia last year in the minor leagues was hitting the head by pitch and really was hurt. Came back though, stayed in the game and hit a home run right after that.
Oh, Marquis missing, so he walks Garcia. Now they're loaded up for Jay So. That'll bring Dave Duncan to the mound. Of course, the hope the Cardinals had there was that you get Garcia, you have a chance then to throw the double play ball with the pitcher and get out of the inning. Now that no longer exists.
And this is the second time the Mets have had their first 3 hitters in a half inning get on base.
Now Jay So is a little bit like Jason Marquis, that in Jay So's year plus in the big leagues has not demonstrated a whole lot with the bat. He is 6 for 61 in his career. Struck out his first time today, and he's got 3 on.
And Pujols right on top of the batter at first base.
So, would you think about a bunt here?
You can't do it at the first base. You have to try it for third.
Exactly. Here's the Cardinal bullpen, both a lefty and a righty. That's interesting for the 4th inning. The hard part about the bunt is the force play at the plate.
Right, no tag play.
And no thought about it. Now 2 strikes on So. So here's where Reggie Smith's old credo comes into play, right? You think you might hit into a double play, just strike out.
It might be a good play.
That's the positive approach.
Oh, wow, how about that?
Boy, that is a real break for the Mets, although not for So.
Well, it might be a break. Well, at least he's, from Jay So's standpoint, he got hit on the right side, which is his left arm. And that's why, right there is why pitchers are always supposed to hit with their pitching arm in the back.
The Mets did that with Doc Gooden, who was a switch hitter before he got to the major leagues. They made him hit from the left side.
That's our Panasonic digital replay. Hit him right in the bicep. But most, that hurts. But the first feeling is shock as the ball's heading towards you, especially if you're not used to getting hit. So Jay So should be fine. Hit him in the bicep.
Well, that's a heck of a way to pick up your first big league RBI right there.
It's worth it, Joe.
Jay So.
He has the lead.
And there's still nobody out with Matsui at the plate. Guy we're going to see here Sunday who pitched for the Mets, Sean Estes, a guy that always perplexed me because he's a left-handed pitcher, right-hand batter. And that, to me, is just, that's dangerous.
Hit a memorable home run against the Yankees.
Sure did.
Fastball strike, 1-1. Kaz Matsui with a chopped base hit off home plate in the first inning, then walked in the third. First inning, Zeal hitting behind Matsui, home. Marquis gets a big out there. Renteria, no advance. Infield fly was called, so there's 1 down. Now, Marquis does have that opportunity. He's got a slower man at the plate at Zeal, and the ground ball could get him through this.
But if you saw the open of the show this afternoon, Zeal usually pounds Marquis. In fact, he hit a home run. There's the graphic that tells the story. He hit a 2-run dinger in the first inning.
Well, Zeal wants the first at-bat. Marquis wants the second, where he got Zeal to hit the ground ball to second base.
How do you get a ground ball? Well, you pitch the ball down low.
They can turn it over and make it sink.
Get more ground balls.
Cliff Floyd awaits on deck.
So Vance Wilson's double started this inning, and Mets have put 1 across. Zeal takes 1-1. 9 slams in Todd Zeal's career. Career, of course, that started as a Cardinal.
And as a catcher.
Joe Torre made the decision to move him to third base.
Pitch at the knees, and now it's 1-2.
And Zeal, if you have watched Zeal over the years, will now really try to hit the ball to the right side. He'll try and go to right field and defend the plate, put the ball in play.
Marquis didn't get the outside. 2-2. Fastball right in there. So Jason Marquis challenges Zeal and gets him for the second out.
Well, he challenges him with a fastball. You see the good movement and good velocity. Threw the ball by Todd Zeal. Big strikeout because, as we mentioned, Todd Zeal is usually very comfortable against this right-hander.
Well, this would be some escape for Marquis if he can get Floyd here. Single, and he's been hit by a pitch.
Floyd did a grand slam Friday against Oswald off a slow curveball. Hit a fastball for a home run here the other day. Take a look at it Friday night. He said he didn't think he could catch up to Oswald's 97-mile-per-hour fastball because he just came back and Oswald did him a favor. He looked for the curveball and he gave it to him.
The home run off the fastball the other night, he hit to left center. Down 2-0. That's another thing that. So what hitters hear all the time from their coaches. Cliff Floyd, they constantly tell Cliff, look, you're so strong. You don't have to try to pull the ball. Strong enough to hit it out the other way.
Right now, he's in a great spot. Should go fastball and take the pitch if it's not exactly where he wants the ball.
And in the air to left field. And this is going to be a Houdini-like escape for Jason Marquis. Well, the Mets get one, but it could have been much worse for St. Louis. So the fifth inning coming up at Shea, and the Mets, well, they had the lead 3-2. It's one of those strange feelings, Ralph, because twice the Mets have scored in this game, but twice the innings could have been bigger.
Had two real good chances to break the game over. Back in the first inning, of course, and the last at bat in this inning.
And so here come the Cardinals to the top of the lineup. Womack to start, then Renteria and Pujols. Jason was hit by a pitch to bring in the lead run. Of course, he was hit on his left arm. And he had a very long inning in the fourth. There were over 30 pitches. Starts Womack here with a strike. And a big hopper to Piazza. So Jason has done a job so far keeping Womack off base. 3 groundouts. Renteria has flied to center, popped to second. I don't know, Ralph, since you've been with the Mets since day one, this is kind of a, getting a little nostalgic here. I wish the Mets played the Cardinals more often. Liner right to Cameron. Boys, he played that nicely. 2 down. The Cardinals and the Cubs are teams I just wish the Mets played more often.
Well, of course, in the early days, the Mets insisted that to be in the division with the Chicago Cubs. They drew well against the Cubs. And St. Louis always a good job because of the history of that ball club and the great teams they've had in the past.
Pujols coming off that home run in the fourth, struck out in the first.
So the expansion of baseball has changed the alignment of the league so much. The other one I'd like to see happen more often was a great matchup was the Dodgers and the Mets.
Yes.
And now the Mets play the Dodgers one time in LA and one time there. Then you get back to the argument of a balanced schedule or an unbalanced schedule.
I think there's a medium that's available between what used to be the balance and now what we have. The schedule they have today, I think, favors the West teams much more because it just reduces the travel.
Travel, yes. Well, the one thing about baseball, when they played with 16 teams on a 154-game season, you played each team, and they're all equal 22 times. So it was really balanced, and you had no problems because it was a matchup the same every year after year. But expansion changed all that. New location.
There was a 4-pitch walk to Pujols. That's the 4th walk for So. 1 was intentional, and now he's got to deal with Rolen. So pitching around a guy in this lineup doesn't do you a lot. And Rolen hits it to right and hits it well and hits it to the wall and caught. Garcia saves the day, and he may have taken advantage of the new bullpen cutout. Let's see, does he plant himself there? I think he does. On the padding cut out of the bullpen wall, plants himself with the left foot and the left arm and saves the day for the Mets. How about that play? Was Kareem Garcia, even now when he's slumping a bit with the bat, still playing a terrific right field.
See him go up on that wall and make the grab, bring the ball back. He used the padding of the wall to get those spikes in the padding and make a terrific catch, robbing Scott Rolen of a home run.
Remember, that right there was the first homestand. That wall was completely padded. They had closed up the Mets bullpen completely, and the pitchers asked to have the cutout. The bullpen pitchers wanted that cutout of the padding returned, and it was. Garcia used a little bit of that to his advantage.
You know what's really something is when here there it is again, where Kareem Garcia put the spikes to get himself above the wall. But Scott Rolen saw it all the way. He was running down the first baseline. Then he has to watch replay after replay on a Diamond Vision board. In fact, the guys here at Shea Stadium, Vito Vitiello and the boys, do a great job with that Diamond Vision board. But they replayed it a couple times, and Scott Rolen has to look up there and see himself robbed of a home run over and over again.
And Piazza to right field, sending Sanders into the corner. Boy, look at that drift, and just enough room for Sanders to make the play. New York Mets baseball brought to you in part today by Aflac. Ask about it at work. And by Infinity, makers of the full-size QX56.
Nice round of applause for Kareem Garcia here after making that spectacular grab.
All right, Fran, I think we need to ask Ralph. Which felt better, hitting a home run or taking one away?
Come on, Ralph, you know.
To be honest with you, he didn't know.
All right, tell that truth. Look at it again. Kareem Garcia goes back, timed it beautifully, put those spikes into the padding of the wall to help keep himself up in the air.
Pujols makes the play to Marquis covering, so Garcia out on a pitch, and they're 2 down.
I'll tell you one that's happened when I was playing the outfield for the Cubs. Duke Snyder hit a line drive to left field, and this is before they had the little basket in the outfield, the Wrigley Field, and the ball hit off the chest of a guy in the front row and came up back on the field. I picked the ball up and threw it into second base like it was a double. The umpire called it a double. So Garcia was not only robbed of a home run, that play cost him that home run in his home run record.
So Red Shaney's there watching the ball game.
And Red will be my guest on the post-game show on the first Cardinals Corner of the year.
There you go.
Red Shaney's career was in jeopardy when he was a kid because of tuberculosis. He beat it.
He beat the very serious disease at one time. And he also, a lot of people thought he was really seriously hurt in an automobile accident. It turned out it was Red Shaney's, but his brother, who was also called Red, and Ted asked him, why was the guy called Red? He says all redheads were called Red.
1-2 now to Wilson. That's fouled away. Speaking of Wrigley Field, they're playing a day game there today. San Francisco and the Cubs. I couldn't help but feel people. Night games are so rare in Chicago. Last night they played a night game. People bought tickets, I'm sure, months in advance. Oh, that's a close one. 2-2. Neither Bonds nor Sosa played. And of course Sosa's on the DL, and I would doubt Bonds is in there today. We don't know for sure.
He might go on the DL too.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying for the people that had tickets there, I mean, it's pretty hard to not have either team play. That's going to be just beyond Renteria. And Vance Wilson keeps it going for the Mets with a 2-out hit.
Wait till you see this.
Synchronized leaping.
That was a classic.
Yeah, watch this.
The ball is hit. Watch Marquis, the pitcher, along Renteria. Well, he's off camera, but Renteria jumped and so did Marquis.
It was nice.
It was synchronized.
So Mike Cameron will bat here. Cameron had a ground ball hit to left in the 4th inning. Saw this fan walking around before the game, actually during batting practice today, wearing a retro Hank Aaron jersey. Mike Cameron came in the Mets clubhouse today wearing a retro Dennis Eckersley Cleveland Indians jersey. The old red. You probably played against those jerseys, Franny, in the 70s when Frank Robinson was the manager.
Absolutely. What number? 43?
No, I'm thinking it was 37, I believe.
Dennis Eckersley threw a no-hitter when he was a starting pitcher for the Indians.
He had 2 great careers, a starting pitcher and then a really great relief pitcher.
And he'll be in Cooperstown in July. Dennis Eckersley being inducted because the Seaver jersey. And Dennis Eckersley really owes his Hall of Fame induction to the guy sitting in the Cardinal dugout today. It was Tony La Russa.
Dave Duncan and Tony La Russa.
Tony La Russa really, I mean, there's no question. Tony La Russa, over Eckersley's objections, made him a closer and told him, you can be, now I never thought he'd be a Hall of Famer, but he said, you can be a good closer. And Eckersley fought it and fought it and fought it. And La Russa stayed with it. And that's the Hall of Fame.
And Eckersley threw nothing but strikes, and he told me it was easier to throw strikes because he was a sidearm pitcher. I've never heard that explanation before.
Danny Garcia will bat now for the 2-out walk to Cameron. Marquis over 100 pitches. But that's something that I think a guy like Tony La Russa takes a great deal of pride in. You see a player and you make a drastic change in their role, but the player has success beyond anybody's dream in that role. La Russa's point was very simple. He said Eckersley, Kiko Calero in the pen, Eckersley with that sidearm, lefties were hitting. And he said, if a guy only sees you once a game, Moreno in the Mets pen, or once a series, you're going to have you're going to dominate those guys.
He was told by Dallas Green when he was with the Cubs, your career's over. And he went out to Oakland and went from a starter to a relief pitcher because of Tony La Russa, and he's going to the Hall of Fame. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Center field, Edmonds there. So the Mets little 2-out threat dies. We'll go to the 6th and a 1-run gorgeous day in shade. Just a beautiful late spring, early summer day. The Mets have a 3-2 lead. We go to the 6th in our Jeep game summary.
See Todd Zeile, 2-run home run in the 1st inning. How about Albert Pujols, Ralph?
Solo home run. That was in the 4th, and then So hit a pitch to get his first major league run batted in.
So here's Jay So now to Jim Edmonds. Remember, we showed you one of the keys to the game. Jay So has not gone deep into games this year for the Mets. He's had a blister problem, a split nail problem. Into right center, that's a leadoff hit. So is probably not going to get to the 7th today, and the Mets would love to see him just get through the 6th. Pitch counts closing in on 100.
So Art Howe, wheels are turning because he will be making some decisions on what to do with Jay So.
You know, here's Moreno continuing to get ready, and I thought Steve Traxel had an interesting line last night. We focus on pitch count a lot as we see it. Steve Traxel's line was, you know, talking about the Cardinals, that's a heck of a tough lineup to get through 3 times, and that's what Traxel did. He said, asking to get through that lineup 4 times is asking a lot. Well, Jay So's coming to the end of his 3rd trip through this lineup.
He's got the bottom of the batting order going against him in this half inning. So he's got that in his favor. Reggie Sanders, who has been a peripatetic baseball player over the last 6 years.
Do they have medicine for that?
It's very serious. It means you get traded a lot. He's played with 6 different teams for the full year in 6 consecutive years.
And our friends at Elias, Ken Hurt and company, did the research and found out that he stays only with the Cardinals this year. He doesn't get traded, and he's got a 2-year deal. He'll be only the 2nd player in the history of baseball to play 7 years, 7 teams only.
Well, there was a guy way back when.
Yeah, the
18 something.
1890s. Sanders goes there. That's 1 and 2.
How did they travel in 1890 when they get traded?
By mule.
No long-term deals there.
The travel time was a little bit tough.
Oh, Sanders pulls that to left. So Cardinals get it set up here in the inning. Edmonds to 3rd, Sanders to 2nd. Well, Kareem Garcia bailed out Jay So with that catch up against the wall in the 5th inning, and that's hoping to squeeze 1 more inning from Jay So. Have trouble doing it.
Well, the ball, a off-speed pitch pulled down the left field side, and Floyd throws the ball into the cutoff man and hoping to keep the runner at 3rd base, which he did.
No, that's it.
I don't think he had a chance to stop the runner at first.
Jay So is done right here. They're going to bring Moreno in a double switch. So again, the difficulty for the Mets is trying to get other than Traxel right now. Glavin's done a fair job of it, but get starters to get deep into the ballgame. Relieve some of the load being placed in the bullpen. So Jay So, 5 innings. Joe McEwing comes in the double switch, and Orber Moreno makes the trip in from the Mets bullpen. Fox Sports Net's telecast of today's game is available in high definition only on cable. Of course, high def means widescreen images up to 5 times sharper than regular TV, and Dolby Digital sound. So it's Fox Sports Net and high def only on cable.
And you get it right there from Cablevision. So that's high def TV. Cablevision sign out there in left field. Joe McEwing's aware of it, but he's at 2nd base. Marino's on the mound. You see Marino's numbers. I told you earlier, like a social security number. It tells you all about those pitchers.
Moreno pitched an inning here of hitless ball on Tuesday night. Now he inherits a real tough spot. Tying run at 3rd, lead run at 2nd, no one out. Taguchi walked in the 3rd and then hit a line drive double that grazed off the tip of Piazza's glove at 1st base in the 4th inning, a ball that seemed like Mike did not see. The Mets have the infield in at the corners, back in the middle. I mentioned Taguchi, who was on the Japanese Olympic team in 2000 and was a guy that you could tell was a very good defensive player and not much of a hitter. The Cardinals have changed him a lot in his 3 years in their system. Hit right back off Moreno. That's going to score a run, and Zeal tries the best he can, and they get nobody out.
And Marino's hurt. I thought you hit him in the thigh muscle. So I think like a batter, when a ball's hit like this back of the pitcher route, you almost have a heart attack. Obviously not in position to field his position. as you see Zeal come in and put the ball to first, but not in time. I think more and more today, it's so important to be in fielding position because how hard these guys hit the ball.
And that ball, of course, is going over 100 miles an hour. You have to be awfully quick to have a reaction to either catch it or knock it down. Right there, Moreno got hit by the ball. He wasn't in that good position. And right away you think about Herb Score being hit by Gil McDougal back in 1955 or 6. Never forget one time when John Matlock was pitching for the Mets right here in this ballpark.
Wow.
Guy had a line drive, hit him on the forehead, and the ball bounced into the Mets dugout 100-some feet away.
Right.
And he wasn't really hurt. It's hard to believe.
That a ground rule double?
It is, yeah.
So difficult again here. The Mets have let Taguchi, a guy that shouldn't hurt him with the bat, and Taguchi's hurt him twice here. 2 RBI hits, one off Piazza's glove and now one off Moreno's leg. So it's a tie game. Matheny the batter with first and third, nobody out. Taguchi is fast, and so the Mets will be concerned about him running. Moreno has been a guy that teams have run on. Four steals attempted when he's been on the mound so far this year, all successful.
They might be a little bit more reluctant with Vance Wilson behind the plate to try that steal, although they ran last night.
Right here, if you run the runner and he makes second base, you probably would walk the batter and go to the pitcher.
Wouldn't bother. I'd still run him. John Franco throwing in the bullpen.
And the Cardinals are going to pinch hit.
Yeah,
Marlon Anderson on deck there. One now to Matheny. Well, Moreno made this staff in spring training because he was a hard thrower. You know, kind of stuff that can strike people out. That's what he needs here. He has pitched 20 innings this year, struck out 19 men. He's employed a slide step there, but the ball in the dirt. Now it's amazing here. In one little sequence, you're seeing the little things that can hamper a pitcher. Moreno not able to field his position, and here now he's trying to employ a slide step to stop the runners from going, but the result is that pitch.
Well, the slides, it takes a little bit off your fastball. Also, at the breaking ball, you have trouble getting that good break on the breaking ball because of the slide step. And you can see the ball being blocked there by Vance Wilson. Once you block a ball like that, it's very difficult to pick it up and throw and run her out at second base.
You can see how Orbear is still a work in progress for Rick Peterson. Now the infield is in. And Matheny late, 2-2.
Looked like Matheny was trying to take a shot at the right side of the infield with that swing. Take a look at this. Was he just late?
Kind of a funky looking swing.
Meanwhile, Jason Marquis now got a chance to get a win. He's off the hook to lose the game, and if the Cardinals can get Sanders in, he has a chance to win today. And for him, it's the escapes he got out of a first inning and a fourth inning that could have been big ones for the Mets. To third, play it Well, no play at the plate. Play at first instead. Zeal's haste trying to get Sanders, cost him. Zeal does recover to get the out at first, but the Cardinals have the lead.
So Matheny, the key there is putting the ball in play. He puts the ball in play. There's always a chance for something to happen that will help your team. And right there, Todd Zeal couldn't come up with the ball cleanly. The run scores to get the out at first base. Again, the key is put the ball in play. And Matheny did that. They get Matheny at first base, but the run scores. It's now 4-3.
The run is there, and even though the ball could have been thrown on when they had a play at the plate, we got the out at first base, so it's an RBI.
Comes Art Howe again. Got double barrel action in that bullpen, and John Franco will make his way into the game.
So it'll be Franco to face the left-handed batter. Now the Mets homestand will continue. Colorado comes to town tomorrow night. Todd Helton and the Rockies here. Geico Mets on deck at 6:30. Game at 7 on Fox Sports Net. Jeremy Burnitz, red hot. Another home run last night. Meanwhile, the OTB finishing line on Jay So. Only twice so far has Jay So been able to pitch past the 5th inning. And that's a trend that just the Mets have to find a way to get out of that.
98 pitches. So Jay So out of the ball game. John Franco in the game. And we have a 4-3 contest here in the 6th inning. You know, as you look at those numbers, those all-important numbers a pitcher will put up there during the course of the season. But John Franco's been throwing the ball very well from day one this season. He'll face Marlon Anderson.
It's interesting. He hasn't worked a lot lately. It's a situation the Mets bullpen has had a lot of work, but Franco's only pitched twice in the last 10 days. Now facing Anderson with Taguchi at second and 1 out.
Tony La Russa has to be a little bit more relaxed right now. He said for his ball club, and just like the Mets, it's a big ball game this afternoon. Tony La Russa, who broke in managing those Chicago White Sox. He and his coaches were so mad at a broadcaster with the White Sox that after a game one day, they went to meet with him to go have a conversation. You know, that announcer was a very famous announcer who used to broadcast Cardinal games, Harry Carroll.
Well, actually, just to be fair to Harry's memory, the guy that they really went was Jimmy Pearsall. They wound up getting in an altercation.
They wanted both. In fact, one of the coaches didn't go. Later on, he was retained as a coach where he was told he was a whole coaching staff.
3-0 now, and all 4. So Anderson walks. 2 on for the Cardinals with 1 out. Every weeknight, don't miss the WB11 News at 10 for the stories that matter to you and the issues that affect your life. Join Jim Watkins and Heidi Ton weeknights on the WB11 News at 10. So Womack, another left-hand batter to face Franco, 2 on. And 1 out. The Cardinals have put 2 across here in the 6th to take the lead. There's a strike. Womack 3 groundouts today against Jay So.
Jimmy Pearsall, then he humiliated with his life. 4 strikes out, and he played Jimmy Pearsall.
The first base line at the outside of the holding. So the second out recorded, but the runners move up.
Exactly. Anthony Perkins didn't throw the ball real good in that movie. And I can remember in spring training when the major league players were getting up, Pearsall saying that he threw like Anthony Perkins. Here's that circle change that John Franco throws. And Franco, one of 2 pitchers on the Mets that his money pitches that changeup. He's got a good fastball. He never throws a breaking ball. He and Tom Glab.
So Renteria. It's a good changeup.
That was it. That little turnover changeup reacts like a screwball. Persol was the guy that hit the home run, his 100th home run, and he ran around the bases backwards.
As a Met?
As a Met, and it was off down the screen.
Yeah. Did you know that he was going to do that?
No.
Ahead of time? He didn't tell you guys.
But it got him fired. Casey Stengel said there's only room for 2 clowns on this ball club. And he was referring to himself as a star clown.
There's the professor. 2-1.
Persol actually was in a institution for a period of time.
Not Yale.
It was for head cases.
Back through the middle, off of Franco, but now he says, I've got it. And the flip does, and that's big because it prevented Pujols from hitting with a chance to really do some damage. So the Cardinals get the lead for the first
4-3, St. Louis in front as we move to the bottom half of the 6th inning. I'm joined by the Mets general manager, Jim Duquette. Jim, let's just talk quickly about Al Leiter. We know you put him on the disabled list. Is this just something that the rest will cure, and you're confident that it'll just be the 15-day stay?
Yeah, we think it's going to be a 15-day stint. He wasn't quite 100% when he threw his side session yesterday, and he's still feeling he's not quite 100%. So our feeling is he'll undergo some strength tests tomorrow. We will get the results back on Monday, and hopefully he'll be right on track to pitch next Saturday.
All right, let's talk about the team where it stands on this late date in May, within striking distance, very close to first place in the division. Does it change your approach at this point? Is the moment now, the time now, or is it still looking toward the future?
Well, I think that there's that combination between the two that, right now our plan, and it has been since the spring, is if there's a way that we can upgrade our team, whether it's incrementally or in a big leap, we're going to try to do that. So there's that fine balance. But I think right now the primary focus is trying to get our team better short term, meaning this year, and then obviously maintaining that long-term flexibility as well.
Is that a balancing act that's difficult to do in terms of keeping the eye on the future, but saying, hey, listen, no one's running away in this division right now, and if we make a big move, we could be right there?
Yeah, we certainly don't want to scrap the plan that we've talked about all winter, but in the same sense, nor do we want to mortgage our future. But in the same sense, when you're in the hunt like we feel like we are, and this is really the way we had designed it and hoped it would be at this point in the season, the guys down here, we've battled through some injuries. We're starting to get ourselves healthy, and we need to continue to stay in that hunt. And, if there's a player or two or a pitcher or two that can help us, we're going to go out and try to get them.
Would you say there's a need to upgrade the bottom half of the rotation, and are you actively pursuing it?
Well, I think our feeling in general is anytime you can improve your pitching, again, we've built the club around pitching and defense primarily. I think that plays well in this ballpark. So anytime we get a chance to upgrade it, whether it's in the starting rotation or it's in the bullpen, we're going to try to do that.
And even more so now, perhaps, with Al's situation. Jay, we know, has been battling the finger situation and just trying to find someone to fill in that number 5 spot.
Well, I mean, that certainly becomes a more glaring issue for us, but we're not going to overpay for something like that. It's one of those things we've been looking even before Al had the injury. We felt like we wanted to try to get a little bit more depth in that area. So, I think that, again, there's nothing there that's imminent. We keep looking, and I'm hopeful that something will materialize here in the short term.
And finally, how about on the hitting side?
Well, we've been pleased, in general, because we have been shorthanded, and I think that we continue to battle it out and grind it out each day, and we start showing signs of getting to be 100%. Obviously, Cliff coming back, and Jose Reyes hopefully in the near future. So I think once we get our full team back, then we'll have a better sense of how strong our offense is.
All right, Jim, we appreciate your time.
Okay, thanks, Matt.
Jim Duquette joining us. Fellas, back to you.
So ground up by McEwing here to start the Mets 6th. Now Matsui facing right-hander Kiko Calero. It's Matt's opening point there with Jim Duquette was intriguing. The Mets have played 40 games, and their record this year is 2 games better after 40 games than it was last year. And so he takes ball 2. Last year, the Mets were 10 games out of first place after 40 games. There's Calero's brief numbers this year. And this year, with a 2-game better mark, they're only 3 games out.
Well, the reason for that, of course, was a great start that Atlanta got off to last year, and this year the Phillies got off to a very slow start, and also the Marlins.
I mean, the Mets really have benefited greatly from the fact that the National League East as a whole has been down so far. I don't think anyone expected the East to, as a division, be as down as it is so far, and the Cardinals division is the one that's surprisingly good.
You think it's that big of a surprise with Houston?
No, that's not the surprise.
Cubs
3-2. The surprise, absolutely the surprise, is Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Those three teams are supposed to be horrible. They're all playing 500+ ball right now.
Yeah, Milwaukee has really been a big surprise.
That is a fair ball behind first, and pitcher covers. 3-1 play, and Matsui is out number 2.
With the addition of Clemens and Pettit, a lot of people were picking Houston to win this division. The Chicago Cubs, they've had their injuries. Cincinnati, as Ted mentioned, is playing good baseball. The Cardinals 3.5 back, and you got Milwaukee and Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh lost a doubleheader last night at home. They had been right on the brink of 500 before that. So I think those teams are all expected to lose 90 to 100. Those 3 bottom teams, and so far they're playing much better. Now Zeal, and he takes ball 1.
And the other thing is, in the Western Division, San Diego has been playing extremely well, and the Giants have been playing terrible. Dodgers got off to a good start. Now they've settled down.
That's the break for teams like San Francisco and Arizona out west. The Dodgers have come back to the pack. Dodgers have lost 6 in a row.
Speaking of the Giants, did you see where Moises Salute beat his dad's team last night with a big home run? I wonder if anybody shook his hand when he came in the dugout.
His dad didn't, huh?
No, his dad wouldn't do it. He said he does something to toughen up those hands, make you a little nervous to shake it.
Dan Wheeler getting ready in the Met bullpen, and Calero comes out of the St. Louis pen, gets a 1-2-3 inning, so we'll go to the 7th at Shea. Cardinals up 4-3. Don't forget to visit Mets.com, which is the #1 site for live game pitch-by-pitch coverage, MLB.tv and MLB.com game day audio, all at Mets.com, where Mets baseball is always on. Dan Wheeler on to pitch for the Mets as we go to the 7th inning. Ralph Kiner will be with you. Don't forget our first Kiner's Corner of the year after the game.
Look at the numbers for Dan Wheeler. He's been in 13 games. Opponents average .337 against the big right-hander. He's only walked 3. Baseball and ice cream.
Yep. You can wear one of them in any baseball.
Where do you think her concentration is right now?
She's wearing the ice cream. That's great. Albert Pujols. Well, Wheeler gets thrown right into it here. Pujols rolling in Edmonds in the 7th inning. Pujols with a solo homer. That was the first Cardinal run in the 4th. Now 1 ball, 1 strike. It's fouled away. Mets are playing the Rockies here this weekend out of the division. The Cardinals, and why Tony La Russa, I'm sure, told you, Fran, it was so big for his team today. They're heading to Chicago. Play their arch rivals. They've had the 1 series with the Cubs this year. This will be their 2nd, starting tomorrow at Wrigley Field.
Well, Albert Pujols has certainly been swinging a hot bat this year, batting only .281. 10 home runs, 25 RBIs. He'll be up around .330 before the season's out. He'll hit his 30 or 40 home runs. Signed a brand new contract with the Cardinals. They wanted to lock him in for a number of years, and they did.
high. And Albert Pujols is going to take part of that contract, and this is what makes him such a special young man, and he's going to go back to his homeland at the end of this year, the Dominican Republic, and he's going to build a baseball complex, which of course in his country that's the national sport. Although Albert left at a young age, in his teen years, and went to Kansas City. That's really where he developed as a ball player, but Dominican through and through, and he will go back and help baseball in his country. Ripped hard, and that is smoked right by Zeal. Pujols hard turn, holds it first.
That's an overmatch for any third baseman, including Scott Rowland. This ball is really clocked. Watch this. Ball hits the bat and bang. I don't blame him.
That's a one-shot deal, right? Stick the glove out there and hope the ball catches you.
The old days, they used to tell third baseman, knock it down with your chest. You know what they would tell you today? What are you, crazy? You're gonna put a hole in your chest.
So Rowland, the batter. Rowland hit a ball that was just going to clear the wall into the Met bullpen in the fifth inning, and Kareem Garcia leaping up over the fence brought it back in, saving a two-run home.
Scott Rowland grew up in Indiana. He wanted to play with the Cardinals, and he got his wish. The threat of free agency helped him. Before free agency, he'd have been a Philly forever. They tried to keep him in Philadelphia. They offered him, I believe, the figure was $190 million.
They offered him a lot.
Maybe it was just over $100 million.
Yeah, it wasn't 190. That's up in A-Rod country.
Yeah, that's true. It's about, it might have been about $110 million. Here we go. Kareem Garcia going up and bringing Scott Rowland's home run back into the ballpark. That ball's gone. Jay So said, no, it's not. Nice play by Kareem Garcia, and this play was jumping when he made that catch.
Up high 1-2 now to Rowland. No, whatever the Cardinals offered, or excuse me, whatever the Phillies offered Rowland, it was enough.
Yeah, I think it was 90. Now that I think about it.
But it was clear that we talked about this last night. He just wanted to go. He wanted to go play
in the Midwest
and
get away from Larry.
Yeah. Left field to the corner, hooky, foul.
Larry Bowa, a very fiery manager who's done a good job with the Phillies. But he and Scott Rowland had, I guess they had their disagreements. But the Phillies playing good baseball without him. They went out and got Jim Thome, who's really had quite an impact in Philadelphia.
Cardinals and the Phillies, two longtime National League teams. They're already done for the year. They've already played their games for the season with each other.
Oh boy.
Well, Rowland got that one. And Floyd back to make the catch.
Look at Pujols.
Pujols has to retouch second, and the throw doubles him. Well, Pujols got fooled like I did. That ball had top spin at the end. That's the only reason it kept it in the park.
Ball died. I thought this ball was gone. And the ball stays in the ballpark. Nice play by Floyd. He throws the ball back in. Joe McEwing heads up. I'll tell you what, that's a nice catch by Joe McEwing. He scooped the ball out of the dirt and made the strong throw. Look at Pujols. I don't blame him. He thought that he had a chance of going out or off the wall. Now he had to retouch the base, and they double him off first base.
Well, I'm there too. I'm guilty as charged. And I thought that was at the very worst going to be off the wall. And
nice
obviously Pujols thought the same thing.
Nice play by Cliff Floyd not to give up on that ball because everybody else did. I thought it was either over the wall or off the wall.
So what could be a very big play for the Mets to keep them in this game. 4-3, and now Edmonds with 2 outs and nobody on. Well, it's not easy for any reliever to come in and have to face this 3-4-5, but as Ray King gets ready in the Cardinal bullpen, Wheeler has dodged one because Pujols ripped the ball off him. Rowland ripped the ball off him, and there's 2 outs and nobody on.
The hardest hit ball might have been Pujols. He just scorched the ball by Todd Zeile at third base.
Edmonds, the batter, he has scored 2 runs. With a walk and a base hit, also a fly out to left. Takes 3-0. And a strike, although Edmonds was about to go to first, and got to tell Bill Hahn there, sorry, but I didn't mean that.
It was over the plate. Was it high enough?
Not to Edmonds. I don't blame him. And he swings there, what was probably ball 4. So Wheeler gets through the inning. Mets will have Floyd, Piazza, and Kareem. Bottom of the 7th coming up at Shea, a 4-3 St. Louis lead, as you see our award-winning director Bill Webb's ride waiting for him. Weekday mornings at 5:30, join John Muller, Lynn White, Lyndon Church, and Emily Francis for news, traffic, weather, celebrities, and surprises, all on the WB 11 Morning News. Of course, Bill Webb's heading to Chicago. He'll be working the Cardinal Cubs game Saturday as the Saturday game of the week starts.
So he'll see Ray King again. In fact, he might share a cab to the ballpark there. You see the game's 19 for Big Ray. Batting .250, opponent's average against the big southpaw.
Well, Ray King hasn't worked a lot lately, and it's interesting because normally he's a guy who's pitching every day. He's only worked twice in the last 11 Cardinal games. He'll face Floyd, Piazza, and Kareem Garcia. Now, King has been, as Cliff's got a little sleeve on that right elbow, which he hyperextended in a 9th inning at bat against lefty Steve Klein. Fouls that one away.
You can see how he hyperextended that bat. He didn't hit the ball squarely against Steve Klein and fouled it back, and when he did that, he hyperextended that arm. It's a painful experience.
And he gets 2 strikes now on Cliff. The opportunity for Tony La Russa is there to have lefties to face Floyd again late in the game. He's got King here in the 7th, and it's likely that Floyd's turn will come up at least one more time, and he'll have Steve Klein, if he wants to, ready for that appearance.
As Floyd gets into real good playing shape, left-handers really don't affect him in a negative way. Sometimes they affect him in a positive way.
There, King gets him. So far, that St. Louis winning this battle. Lefties against Cliff.
And it's a breaking ball down and away out of the strike zone. So Ray King gets Floyd. Now he'll have to take on number 31, Mike Piazza.
Single in the 1st for Piazza. Then he popped up to first, flied to right. Those are 3 at-bats, all against Jason Marquis. See as Tavares gets ready in the Cardinal pen. See Ray King, you got to look past the body shape. Ray King's succeeded a long time. He throws the ball well, 92 on that fastball, and gets left-handers out. Now, I'm not sure that you'd recommend Ray's training regimen for very many others, but with a left arm like that, he's only got another 12 or 14 years left in him. What do you think?
As long as he pitches 1 inning. David Wells, who's a burly type of a left-hander. Put the correct word.
That's line, but Piazza hit it too well. lines it all the way out to Edmonds.
Usually that ball is the toughest ball to adjust to for a center fielder, that line drive right at you. In fact, when it's hit as hard as that ball was hit by Mike Piazza, sometimes it acts like a knuckleball going out there. But Jim Edmonds made it easy.
I tell you what, this has been a day that the Cardinals really feel like they've gotten away with something. Spencer's going to bat here. Shane Spencer for Kareem Garcia. And I say that because Mike Piazza's hit 4 times today. 3 of the at-bats, Piazza's been sitting 2-0. Which is what a hitter dreams of.
Yep. I
mean, hitters count 2-0. And in those 3 2-0 at-bats, Piazza has a single and 2 flyouts. Now, if you're the pitchers, you say, phew, man, I got away with it.
Yeah, he hit the ball. His first time up, he hit it extremely hard to right field. So hard, it almost hit Cliff Floyd, who was the base runner on first base. And right there, he hit the ball extremely hard, but right at Jim Edmonds. So the Cardinals have dodged a bullet with Mike Piazza today.
Spencer takes a ball. I would imagine here that Mike Matheny may have talked to Ray King about, you know, let's not give this guy anything he can hit a long way. That's a good pitch. 1-1.
Shane Spencer for a high school ball with a pretty good major league player, Brian Giles.
Rounded foul past third, 1-2. Spencer's never faced King in a regular season game. Kind of at-bats that, for Spencer, first part of the season have been real learning experiences, being an American leaguer his entire career. So King's really locating the ball well here. In, down. And then up with a fastball, and Ray King has an impressive inning.
Yeah, that was an overmatch right there.
So we go to the 8th, still 1-run.
Back here at Shea Stadium on a sun-drenched afternoon, and the kids are having a great time out there behind the right field fence. So a lot of activities for the kids, baseball and some amusement rides out there. There's a fly ball to right field as Shane Spencer comes in and makes the grab. So there's 1 man down here at Shea Stadium. Shane Spencer out there in right field. Dan Wheeler still on the mound. And with 1 man out, the Mets trail by 1.
So here's Taguchi. The field looks a lot clearer to me right now.
Why is that?
Oh, just amazing what happens in between innings sometimes.
There it goes. Here we go.
Well, Taguchi's been the the difference here with 2 run-producing hits, a 4th inning double that was a line drive grazed off Mike Piazza's glove that Piazza did not react quickly to, as if he didn't see it well. Then a comebacker that hit off the leg of reliever Moreno in the 6th inning. Moreno not poised to field his position. The ball hit him in the back of the leg, caromed for an RBI hit. That's the difference in the game. And that one right back through the middle. Well, you get the idea with him batting, better be ready to field.
Well, you mentioned now the Cardinals have worked with the outfielder who they felt could play the outfield but really couldn't swing the bat, but now he can.
So tonight on MSG at 10 Sports Desk, we'll have the recap of today at Shea. Of course, Game 7, the Nets and Pistons, and Game 6, Lightning and Flyers tonight. Is it just me, or does the Nets-Pistons series feel like it's been going on for 2.5 months?
They've had a few days off. You know one thing? Nobody should be hurt. Everybody should be rested. There's no doubt about it.
It could just be my lapse in thinking. It just feels like it's been going on. There's a little news made today by a New Yorker, Chris Mullen, who's taken over as the head of basketball for Golden State Warriors, going out and looks like he's hiring a prominent college coach.
Stanford.
Mike Montgomery. It's a pretty bold hire by Chris Mullen, his first big move.
chance to interview Chris Mullen this year for a Halls of Fame show. He was a great interview. Loves the New York area, but he's made the big name for himself out there in the San Francisco area. As Matheny takes a strike. Chris Mullen, I thought, was always a smaller version of Larry Bird. He could play.
Best thing about Chris Mullen was, to me, what athlete in any sport could pick up on was that he changed his life completely once he got to the pros. Changed his personal habits and became a fitness fanatic. There's a runner going, and Matheny dribbles the foul. And of course, what that meant was not only did he do himself and his body a lot of good by changing his personal habits, but then extended his career probably 8 years by becoming a fitness fanatic.
Big Met fan. Growing up in the New York area.
Of course. Isn't everybody?
Absolutely. So I'll never forget, boy, back in the 80s and of course in 2000 when this place was rocking.
Low, so it's 1-2 to Matheny. Colin Porter on deck to pinch hit. These were the innings that the Mets bullpen excelled in Tuesday night. Keep it where it is inning, and the Mets eventually able to win it in the 9th. Today the Mets hopeful after the 2 runs in the 6th put the Cardinals ahead. Wheeler getting the 7th inning and now the 8th. David Weathers, who has not pitched since last Thursday, I talked to David before the game and he felt like he would be available today. Just missed 2-2. Of course, the Mets with a lot of questions this morning about who can play, who couldn't. That's what Art Howe was waiting on, to see if he could get 8 healthy bats in his lineup. Pitchers' questions, and of course the Mets need a starter now for Saturday, with Al Leiter going on the disabled list today. Left center, Cameron on the run, can't get there. And Taguchi, again with his speed, able, even with the hesitancy he had to employ in case Cameron caught that ball, Taguchi's speed still able to take him to third.
Ball dropping in out there in center field. We've come to expect Mike Gammon to chase down just about anything. Taguchi had the play in front of him and turns it on. Moves to third base in a rapid fashion. And now the Cardinals have runners on the corners with 1 man down here in the top of the 8th inning.
So Colin Porter will pinch hit, first and third, 1 out. That's dugout positioning the defense. Cameron's going to be frustrated there because Cameron's a guy who has said he really likes to play straight away. Now, timeout called as Wilson pops up. Of course, today everything is tracked and charted, and the positioning of a center fielder is usually determined by those charts and trends. And that was a case where Cameron was playing Matheny to hit the ball to right center, and Matheny pulled the ball into left center. Well, that's big. This one stays in play for the Mets. And it's going to be McEwing calling. So on one pitch, Dan Wheeler gets the pinch hitter Porter on a pop-up.
Well, McEwing played center field, second base now. Tony La Russa says, I wish I would have kept him. Tony Womack will be the batter, but I asked Joe McEwing about how much time he needs to get ready. He said, I'm always ready. He said, I anticipate when they're going to need me out. He said, I never want to be caught unprepared.
So Tony Womack will bat here with 2 outs. Womack 4 ground outs to the right side today. 2 to second base, 2 to first base. Wilson stepping out there. Although it's hard to believe the Cardinals would put Matheny in motion. He is the runner at first. Mets have to be wary because the very fast man at third. No swing, ball one. One now to Womack. There's a World Championship ring for Womack, which he earned as a regular for the Diamondbacks in 2001. Hole by Piazza. So insurance for the Cardinals on the 2-out single by Womack, and it's 5-3.
So Womack picking up a base hit between first and second. Mike Piazza holding the runner. We hear it time and time again. Keep the hole open between first and second base, and right there it paid off. So Tony Womack on first, Mike Matheny on second base. Just fair speed on second base. Edgar Renteria the batter, so they have a shot at cutting down Matheny at the plate on a ground ball to the outfield.
Well, the Mets had slowed down the top of this order. Womack and Renteria both 0 for 4. Womack gets a hit. Now Wheeler has the breaking ball slip for ball one.
I think Gary Sheffield had an effect on this kid. Look at the way he swings that. He manipulates that bat as the ball's inside, but just his approach to hitting in his stance, the way Gary Sheffield wiggle that bat. You watch Edgar Renteria. He played with Gary Sheffield in Florida with the Marlins.
Boy, that really is it's a mimic, isn't it?
It is.
McEwing makes the play, so the Mets get the side up, and the Cardinals tack on and now lead by 2. So the Cardinals piecing the bullpen together, hoping to preserve this lead. Julian Tavares gets the ball here in the bottom of the 8th. His 21st game, another well-traveled right-hander, as David Weathers now is getting loose in the Mets bullpen. Meanwhile, for Tavares, he faces Wilson, Cameron, and then a pinch hitter in the bottom of the 8th. Vance got the Mets going in the 4th inning with a double and scored a run that gave the Mets a 3-2 lead. But it often happens this way, Fran. It almost was like that inning was a loss for the Mets. They scored a run, but they had the bases loaded with no one out and the top of the order up and didn't score any more. And that emotional swing sometimes is real. The Mets have had only 1 hit in the last 4 innings.
So the Mets right now need 2 to tie. You got Mike Cameron on deck. Keep in mind he has that bad hand.
1-2 now to Wilson. And Eric Valent poised to pinch hit. Essex Snead is here today. Got called up. If you give the Mets an extra body, probably only for today and tomorrow. So the Mets will then have to get a pitcher here to start the game Saturday. Wilson out on strikes.
Mets are hoping to have Al Leiter back a week from Saturday.
The center fielder, Mike.
As you look at that last pitch to Vance Wilson, swings right over the top. Tavares has good stuff. There's Al Leiter.
Talking with Matt Ginter, who will start tomorrow night for the Mets. So Mike Cameron, ground out single walk. Right now, what we're seeing from the Cardinals is why they feel they can compete with the Astros and Cubs at the top of the Central this year, because Tony La Russa is getting much better pitching than most thought this staff would give the Cardinals.
He has an excellent pitching coach in Dave Duncan. We mentioned Dave earlier, former catcher in the major leagues.
That foul pop is going to be just beyond Matheny's reach.
We talked about how that catching a foul ball has become a lost art. You used to hear so-and-so can throw, he can catch, he's good on foul balls. You don't see that many foul balls caught by catchers anymore because of the ball bounce.
Exactly. No room. Well, what we're getting in there's Woody Williams not starting in this series. He'll pitch at Wrigley Field for the Cardinals, but their pitching has just so far been a very pleasant surprise. Cameron fouls one back. Here today, Marquis scuffled, but he got through 5 without getting hurt in a big way. Then they had a perfect 6th from Calero, perfect 7th from King.
Well, Tony La Russa is the manager who probably had more of an impact on how relief pitchers are used than any other manager. A lot of guys followed suit.
Absolutely. Cameron to center field, driving Edmonds back. Right now the Mets are in danger of not getting their big bats up again. With going out in order here, they need to get runners to get Floyd and Piazza another chance. Eric Valent will pinch hit here. Of course, what Fran's referring to. Flip Floyd. Piazza. Mets need to get 1 runner here somewhere to get Floyd up, 2 to get Piazza again. And it goes back to a little bit of what we were talking about with Eckersley, is that when La Russa changed the bullpen in Oakland, he changed it to where guys would only pitch to a hitter. And early on in Eckersley's time as a closer, he would get a fair number of saves where he only had to get 1 out. And what, to me, I think guaranteed Eckersley's Hall of Fame candidacy was that at the end of his career in Oakland, he was getting 2-inning saves.
You know, it's funny, I interviewed Goose Gossage recently, and he was talking about how the pitchers are used today. And, you know, usually you hear, well, they're not used for 3 innings. Well, he did say they're not used for 3 innings. He said, but I like the way they use relief pitchers today because you can pitch almost every day. A short man out of the bullpen. Imagine Gossage every day on the mound.
Then Valent gets to 2-0 here. Gossage pitched, what, 2 2/3 or 3 innings in the Bucky Dent game, I believe.
Well, you'd see Goose in a ball game for 2 or 3 innings.
Right. 3-0 now to Valent.
A lot.
Well, Valent gets on. Joe McEwing with bat. Now, that's not a home run threat, but it does, well, that could be Wigginton. And, of course, it would guarantee the Mets getting Floyd at least up in the 9th inning. Valent takes 1 strike. What the Mets want is to put a little pressure on the Cardinals in the 9th inning to at least know that the big guys have a chance to hit. 3-2 to Valent. Let's see how the Cardinals go at it here. Valent has not seen very many fastballs in the last few games that he's played. 2-run lead here, nobody on, 3-2 count. So Tavares comes at him with.
He'll have to challenge him right now.
Well, that's doesn't mean a lot yet, but that's just something the Mets had to get to at least get a runner here.
It means enough to get Dave Duncan out of that dugout.
Because you have Wigginton coming up now as a pinch hitter. Again, that represents the tying run, and at least now you know if you're the Mets, Floyd will bat in the 9th, and if you get 1 more runner, Piazza's going to bat again. Small glimmers of hope. I love it. Our crew here at Shea does a magnificent job of getting right in those tight face shots. Now, when you look, and there's Wigginton, but we looked at Julian Tavares. Look at that. Look at that. Now, is that a face of a guy who's been through a few battles?
How about the hat?
No, I mean, really, Tavares, you'd think he was 47.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not. I mean, you look at him, and you look like there's a guy that must be that pitched forever.
Where's he from?
Fastball. Wigginton, ball 1.
Where's he hail from?
Tavares is from the Dominican.
Okay, did you check the birth certificate?
Well, it's had to have been checked in somewhere in the last few years.
Never know.
Wigginton has 3 at-bats against Tavares, 1 hit. Tavares is a live wire. I mean, this is a guy who's a fierce competitor. He's been in a lot of scuffles with people, and he can have just unpredictable movement. Here's one example of it.
Yeah, that ball ran way inside on Ty Wigginton.
That's occasionally what has caused him to have some scuffles with people. He'll just throw a ball that just moves in crazy ways.
Well, Mike Matheny, you can see, is not going to go in the corners. Tavares is the type of guy with such great ball movement that you're doing him a disservice by eliminating most of the plate and sitting on the corner. See Valent on first base.
That's Penn. Looper if the Mets happen to rally. Weathers if they don't.
Look at that movement.
Wow. 3-1 to Wigginton.
Again, you watch Matheny behind the plate. Over the middle of the plate goes the glove, and then you just hope that Tavares' ball movement stays on the plate.
Popped up foul, drifting, and that's going to drift out of play. So it is 3-2 to Wigginton. And Tavares challenging. Came right in with the fastball.
Oh, he's got to.
Yep.
They have a 2-run lead, and he's got to go after Ty Wigginton, especially with that great ball movement.
Mets have 2 players left on their bench. Jason Phillips and Essex Sneed. So runner moving on 3-2. And it's ball 4. So the Mets get the tying runs on base.
Tavares is not a happy camper. He's upset with himself. As Ted mentioned, he's volatile. And volatility can be his downfall at times. Kaz Matsui will face Tavares. He's got that Baltimore chop base hit his first time up.
Well, Kaz Matsui has had some at-bats where he's looked overmatched. Isringhausen is getting ready now for the Cardinals. But as we've seen, he's had some clutch hits. None more so than the game winner against Milwaukee last homestand and the game tire here on Tuesday. Now he hits as the lead run. Two-out walks putting Valent and Wigginton on base. One to Matsui.
Well, Kaz Matsui with that big blow the other night to tie the game up, a broken bat base hit. Mets will take that right now as you look at Todd Zeile on deck.
Outside corner, and it's 1-2.
Kaz Matsui jumping out that ball, and the ball just tailing away with a great deal of movement.
That's Tavares at his best. He's been a good pitcher so far for the Cardinals this year. He does not throw a ball straight.
It's tough on a hitter because ball movement is the key to successful pitching. And he's got good velocity with that ball movement.
Two to Matsui. Up high.
I'm surprised he's not going after Matsui right now with that fastball all the way down the line. He drives in 1 run, you still have a 1-run lead. You keep messing around and missing, you got Todd Zeile next. He can pop the ball over the wall.
Slowly hit towards second. Womack makes the play, and so the Mets don't cash in on the 2-out walk. Ninth inning now at Shea. Cardinals have a 2-run lead. Albert Pujols with a home run today, his 10th of the year, 124th already in a very young career, and his stock on the rise. Brought to you by the New York Stock Exchange. Ty Wigginton stays in at second base for the Mets, and for the first time in a week, David Weathers will pitch. And Weathers gets the unenviable task again, being thrown right at the heart of this order: Pujols, Rolen, and Edmonds. David has had a little elbow and triceps problem that crapped up when the Mets were on the road last week, and thus has not pitched since last Thursday night in Phoenix. You see, well, that
he has good numbers against everybody.
Yeah, I was going to say that's particularly unsightly from the Mets standpoint. And gets him on one pitch, but the ground ball goes right by Piazza, and Pujols is on. So this has not been a, and you know, it's funny, it's not been a good day for Mike at first base, and you sort of know that days like this are going to happen for a guy so new at this position.
Yeah, Mike Piazza down there at first base, playing out of position, although he did play in junior college some first base. That's going to be the frustrating thing for Mike Piazza, because he is making the move. The transition will not be smooth, because when you make a move to first base, you got a lot of things you got to think about. So you're doing it by the numbers. It's not natural.
And Rolen smacks one to deep right center. Cameron watching, home run.
This guy's having an MVP type season already. He was robbed of a home run by a great play by Kareem Garcia, and right there he hit the ball 400 feet the other way.
Well, he got robbed of a home run by Garcia, then he hit a ball his last time up that looked for sure like it was going to be gone, died in deep left. This time he left no doubt.
He said, I'm sick of this. They're teasing me here. And he pops it over that Nikon sign out there in right center field. So Scott Rolen is on fire. I know it's premature to give the MVP award. But what a year he's having.
But yes, that's right on both counts. So the Cardinals have broken it open themselves here, what the Mets could not do. Meanwhile, I think for David Weathers, this outing is one of trying to be sure that you're okay. He said he hasn't pitched in a week. And last Thursday in Phoenix, when David came in to pitch one inning, he needed almost 50 pitches to get loose in the bullpen, which is obviously an astonishing number. Normally a veteran like David, who's pitched as much as he has, would get 15 pitches, maybe 18, he'd be loose. He has been like other guys like Mike Stanton on the Mets, like Tavares, Klein, guys like that on the St. Louis side. These are the thankless jobs in baseball. They get no credit for being, without question, the most abused people on a baseball team in terms of the amount of work they're given.
And it's not a glamorous position.
Right, there's no reward for it. There's no statistical reward. Play made there by Piazza, 2 Weathers covering, 1 away.
Well, one of the things that helped the short man out of the bullpen, we've talked about it many times, is, you know, they got paid well to save games, and then they had the Roll Age Relief Man Award, which was something they could shoot for, and a lot of these guys have in their contract. So I guess somebody, if they come up with an award for a middle reliever or a hold, can you possibly have an award for a hold?
Well, you know what's funny, Fran, is it goes back, this is just my own little rant here, I guess, but it's what goes back to the point I made earlier about Jay Sohn. It's not just him, but the pitching in the game today, to me, is so out of whack. It's gone so far the other way. It used to be starters who would be run out there and left out there until they dropped. And now to me, starters can be the most coddled position on a team, where a starter pitches once a week and you know, 5 innings or 6 innings and give them a lot of handshakes. And these are the guys right here, Weathers, that pitch 80 times a year. There's probably another 25 games they warm up and don't pitch.
The key for them is to be able to accept the role. Some guys don't want to accept that role. They want a more glamorous role, and you can relate to that if you've ever played the game. I guess, you know, when you talk about glamour positions, the one that really pops into your mind is center field.
Well, if you're the Mets, for example, and you have a couple of spots in the rotation right now that are up for grabs at the back end, and these are five and a third inning starters, which is what they've been, you're going to pay a price for that, and the price is going to be paid here with the David Weathers and Mike Stantons, people like that. Are they going to have, in fact, in the Mets clubhouse this morning, some of the guys were talking about the way the San Francisco relievers have been worked. They're leading the league, a couple of them in appearances, and they say those guys won't be standing in July. There's just nobody can pitch at that pace. It hasn't been done by anybody but Mike Marshall. Matsui to his left. And that throw, though, just short hops and eats up Piazza, and Sanders will end up at second.
Well, here in the ninth inning, the wheels are coming off.
This is the way Matsui has got terrific range to his left, to his glove side. This is terrific range, but just the arm's got to be a little bit better than this.
Matsui bouncing that ball to Mike Piazza, the ball coming off of Piazza's glove, going up and hitting Sanders. And he realized, you know what, I can go to second base. So it's an error on the shortstop, Kaz Matsui.
It's a little difficult on the infielders for the Mets, but they all know with Mike Piazza playing first base, the throws have got to be. And that hop there, that's what they call the in-between hop. That for, you know, if you have a Gold Glove first baseman there, he's going to probably make that play. But for most other first basemen, that long hop there is a tough play.
Well, you know what you're getting when Mike Piazza's at first base. He's a work in progress. I don't care how many ground balls or throws you take during infield practice. Different in the game. You got a base runner coming down. Possibility of a collision. You know, if the ball gets by you, the runner's going to second base. So it's something to get used to. And again, we talk about him playing by the numbers, and it's going to be an adjustment.
That is the 9th error on Matsui in 41 games. Taguchi takes a ball. So it is 3-1. Now the question for the Cardinals, do they even need Isringhausen? Taguchi out to right center. That ball's hit well. Oh, and Cameron lost it. And an absolute nightmare inning.
Well, you can see that. Mike Cameron with sunglasses and all. You think that sun's tough out there? He can patrol that center field with the best of them. He's got the glove up trying to look around the sun, and he loses the ball completely. So scored a double. And runners now on second and third with one out.
And Mike Matheny at the plate. Matheny 1 for 3 with an intentional walk, has driven in a run. This one coming toward the Met dugout. And up on the roof. Well, there sometimes are innings you don't like them when you're going through them, but there are innings that kind of jolt you a little bit into reality, and that's something here in this 9th inning for the Mets, where there's, and not with Mike Cameron, certainly his track record is too strong, but there are still defensive questions surrounding the Mets. Art Howe knows it as well as anybody, and what those defensive questions do is put a lot of pressure on your pitching staff.
Yeah, and like you said, Art knows the questions, and he needs to get the answers, and sometimes it's not always easy to get the answer.
Infield in all the way here. And Matheny hits it right past third. That'll bring in 2 more. So Matheny gets his second hit. He's got 3 RBIs today. It's been a total turnaround day. A day that started well for the Mets. They had a couple of chances to turn this into a day where they would have a big lead. And instead it is the Cardinals that break it open late.
Mike Matheny pulls that ball right down to third baseline. He's got his average up to about 285. Very important part of this Cardinal ball club because he can catch and throw with anybody in a game. And of course that gravy is very important, and that would be his bat.
Ray Langford here pinch hitting for Tavares. So we assume they're going to bring Isringhausen in. No action in the Mets bullpen, so this is going to be Weathers' inning to finish. And again, you can only hope that Weathers tells Vance Wilson, don't worry, get me the ball back. You can only hope from the Mets viewpoint that Weathers does not, and Rick Peterson's going to come out and check on him right now, that he does not aggravate anything, having to work this hard in an inning where there have already been 4 outs. Yeah. Weathers already gotten 4 outs. I mean, there was a home run. There's this Matheny double that was a hard hit ball, but there have been 4 outs, and he still needs to get 2 more to get off the field.
And as you said, Rick Peterson would go out and say, hang with him. It's not your fault. Just try to get these next 2 outs.
And reluctantly, Mike Stanton is starting, reluctantly from everyone's viewpoint, he's starting to lightly throw in the bullpen. Don't want to have to use another arm in this situation. 3-0 to Langford. Over the Cardinals, this is what they want. They'll take a little momentum to Chicago. Ball 4 to Langford.
They just walked in to set up the double play, but it's going to be tough because, well, after the game, it'll be Kiner's Corner, and Ralph's special guest, Hall of Famer Red Shandies, who's been in baseball forever as a player, as a manager, a great guy. And he'll be interviewed by another great guy, our colleague Ralph Kiner. So 2 Hall of Famers on Kiner's Corner after the game.
There's a strike to Womack. Presented by the New York Stock Exchange, so we hope to stay with us for that. That's going to be foul to left. Cardinals going to play the Cubs, and of course that's a rivalry. It's like the Yankees-Red Sox in the Midwest. It's the Midwest version of it. And this year, of course, it's even huge because those 2 teams and Houston figure to battle things in their division. And I know it's not easy to make a schedule. I understand it. It's not easy to do a baseball schedule. I would pay to have that job. But this one's wild. The Cardinals and Cubs play 19 games against each other. Womack to left. Floyd is right there. 2 down. Runners back. Now the Cardinals and Cubs have already played 4 of those 19. They finished the year against each other. July 20th. 1 week after the All-Star game, they play their 19th and final game against each other. That is a head-scratcher. And puts a lot of pressure on those teams. I mean, you can't afford to say, hey, we'll get you later. There is no later.
And they say you got to be dominant in your head-to-head battles, but if you don't see him for 2 months towards the end of the season, you can't have an impact.
2.5 months. I mean, that's. I mean, the Mets play all of their division foes in September. But the Cardinals and Cubs are done July 20th. Renteria 0 for 5 today. When you're 0 for 5, there's only one thing that can make you feel better, and that's a 6th at bat. That's what he's getting, a chance to stop the 0 for, and he does. Base hit. Matheny will score. Cameron's throw through, cut off by Vance Wilson, well up in front of the plate. So Renteria drives in a run. 5 runs here in the 9th inning for the Cardinals.
And a big afternoon for Mike Matheny offensively. Swinging a bat and here scoring a run for the Cardinals as they take a 10-3 lead. Cameron coming up throwing. And he goes for the lead runner at the plate, and Vance Wilson. When you're a catcher, you're at home plate, you see the flight of the ball, you got to determine the flight of the ball, the possibility of a hop, and then you have to decide whether to go out and get the ball, and that's exactly what Vance Wilson did.
So a frustrating inning for everybody on the Mets, and Weathers bears the brunt of it. A nightmare 9th inning for the Mets. 5 St. Louis runs, and probably the worst possible sequence, having to bring yet another pitcher in, Mike Stan, to try to get this final out. I know this is becoming less an accepted part of the game as Pujols will face Stanton. This is the kind of situation where I'm thinking the guy playing third base for the Mets today, Todd Zeile, throws a terrific knuckleball.
Bring him in.
You know what? That's exactly what I would.
You know why teams are nervous about it? Because of Jose Canseco when he hurt his arm.
Yeah. Cardinals with runners at first and third here. Pujols batting.
And everybody that's played the game other than the pitcher feels he can pitch and would love to come into a game like this, throwing from the mound.
Well, just in this situation where I'm talking about, where the game now has gotten away, and rather than have to use a veteran pitcher unnecessarily, Zeile, I've talked to Zeile about this year, because I mean, you watch Zeile throw before the game. He'll throw on the sideline warming up before batting practice, and he's got a terrific knuckleball. I mean, I had no idea that he could do that. He said he actually pitched an inning in a game in Colorado 2 years ago when he played for the Rockies, and he had a scoreless inning. He threw all knucklers. And I think what happens a lot of times today in the game is because everything, again, is scrutinized far more than before by us, by highlight shows, by columns, etc. People are afraid to, quote unquote, tamper with the integrity of the game. I've heard this from managers. It embarrasses the game to have to put a position player in the pitch. And that's clearly one way to look at it. I would take an alternate view that if a game gets to the point where you have to consider using a position player to a pitcher, it's beyond worrying about.
That's right. I pitched in the minor leagues in the second game of a doubleheader, and the guy in the Met dugout, I faced him in that game, Don Baylor.
Is that right? Did you come inside to him?
Well, you know what? I think it's official. I have lost my mind because I told him, I said I struck him out. He said, no, that never happened. I said, so maybe I'm losing my mind. Don Baylor showed up, as you look at Scott Rowland, Double-A ball, played 3 games or 4 games in Double-A ball, went to Triple-A. We really shut him down. He went A ball, Double-A, Triple-A within 4 days. He clobbered us.
That's a guy in his Met day was used that way, Jose Oquendo. And most teams used to have a guy who filled that role.
Cesar Tovar.
Pitcher, right. And,
Bert Campaneris did it with the A's, played all 9 positions. Cesar Tovar played all 9 positions. Oquendo could do it.
88, actually, Oquendo pitched in 88 for the Cardinals. I don't know if he ever, I don't have it here if he ever pitched in a game for the Mets, but he did for the Cardinals.
Joe McEwing fills that role for the Mets. He could go on that mound.
Ask Joe that. Joe said he hasn't pitched since Double-A. 2-2 now to Pujols.
In a case like this, doesn't matter.
Well, yeah. And again, the point is, to me, there's McEwing. The point is that Mike Stanton shouldn't even be in this game. And it's just an unnecessary appearance for him. Hit to Zeile, and that handcuffs him. And another run scores. Well, I used the term earlier in the year, Franny, and it applies to this inning. This is an inning where the Mets as a team need a big old glass of milk of amnesia. This is just horrific.
Yeah, as I mentioned, wheels are falling off, and the Mets have to forget that this 6-run 9th inning is Todd Zeile's unable to come up with that ground ball. The Mets right now are saying, I guarantee Art House thinking, I just have to get the team off the field uninjured, emotionally and physically.
3 errors in this 9th inning, plus a fly ball lost in the sun. So Roland, who had a 2-run homer earlier in this inning, hits one out to right center, but this one will stay in the park. And it's called and taken by Spencer. And finally, the Mets get off the field, but the Cardinals put up. Well, Jason Isringhausen would love a chance to redeem himself after Tuesday night. He won't get it here because obviously this one-sided game, yet he gets the 9th inning. First loss of the year was on Tuesday, 2 wins and 7 saves. And he'll face Zeal, Floyd, and Piazza. Once upon a time, it did matter that the Mets were going to get Floyd and Piazza to the plate here in this bottom of the 9th, but now it appears not to. My moment of the day was provided by Zeal in the 1st inning. Zeal was not cleared to play until about 30 minutes before the game today. He stepped up in the 1st inning and hit a 2-run homer.
And the way the game started, Art Howe had to wait to find out Todd would be cleared to play. He was cleared to play. The Mets came out smoking. Even on the opening of the show, we had the graphic with Todd Zeal and Mike Piazza against Jason Marquis. And true to form, they came out swinging hot bats. You thought that it was going to be one of those afternoons where the Mets would score countless number of runs. Can you do that in baseball? Countless number?
I think it felt like we just endured that in the top half of the inning.
You're right.
Here's this walk to Zeal. It's Klein. This is interesting. In an 8-run game, the Klein will be throwing in the bullpen.
I'll tell you right now, I'm a big believer. Even though you have a stud as a short man, as a closer, you have to have a safety net. If he has a bad afternoon or a bad evening, somebody's got to be loose in the bullpen. Bring him in.
Here's Floyd, who was 1 for 3 with a hit batsman today. In Chicago this afternoon, the Giants lead the Cubs 3-1 in the 7th. Greg Maddux trying to win his 293rd career game today, but it does not appear that's going to happen. And they're playing in San Juan today as well. Early in the game there, they had only 8,000 again last night for the Brewers and Expos. Finally, Isringhausen in with a strike, 2-1.
Saw Cliff Floyd release the bat with that hand that he hyperextended the right elbow yesterday. Watch his swing.
Yeah, bottom hand came off.
Usually it's a top hand, a la Charlie Lau's school of hitting.
Now Cliff's going to put a little pine tar, stick him there where his bottom hand was on the bat. Well, in Tuesday night's 9th inning at bat, Cliff Floyd was sitting on and got a cut fastball running in on his hands, and that's what he hit. Here it's everything but. And strike 3, and Cliff knew it.
Cliff went over there and got the pine tar, put it on the handle of the bat, stepped back into the batter's box, and got the Uncle Charlie for strike 3. There it is. And Jason Isringhausen first came up with the Mets. That was his heralded pitch, his curveball. In fact, he probably threw it too much because he didn't get it over the plate consistently. Now he does. And the Mets had him penciled in as a starter. And it looks like his mental makeup is more like Raleigh Fingers, being able to come out of the bullpen rather than giving 4 days till his next start.
Piazza 1 for 4 today, drives this one to left center field. Edmonds back, looking up at that one, and it's off the wall in left center. Zeal to third, and he'll be held up there. Zeal ran about 15 feet past the stop sign of Matt Galani. They're talking about it. Zeal wanted to score on that ball. And he kept running through the stop sign.
I guarantee you Mike Piazza would want him to score on this ball right here. The ball hits the wall, the Verizon sign out there in left field. Now the ball is in front of Zeal. Then he takes off, and he's looking over his shoulder, and then Matt Galante tells him to hold on at third base. I thought that somebody might have thought it was a ground rule double.
Well, it was a stop sign, and Zeal, as you saw, he didn't exactly slam on the brakes because he knew he would have been able to score. Obviously, the third base coach's feeling is that that run is irrelevant.
But the hitter feels different.
Of course, but third base coach can't worry about that.
Well, I understand. It's a point well taken.
No, you don't.
I don't agree, but it's a point well taken. If you hit it, you're depressed.
Well, of course, absolutely.
No, and it's funny, no matter what the score is.
Right, and again, Zeal knows he's going to score in that ball.
You know, I thought Piazza was going to hit that ball out. That ball died out there.
And I agree with you. And the other issue there is if you're Matt Galante and you wave that guy in all the way from first and he stumbles and falls or something like that, I mean, you just, because Matt Galante in that case would get, he just gets smothered.
Yeah, but you can't worry about stumbling and
falling.
Right,
I understand that.
But I agree. I mean, it's a point well taken. The stumble and fall syndrome. That could happen. I'm a big believer. Balls hit to the outfield. I don't care how deep the outfielder is. Get it in because the runner could stumble and fall between the bases.
Spencer hits one in the air toward the right field line. And in foul territory, it just drifts out of play.
The most famous stumble and fall took place in a place where you used to broadcast, in the city you used to broadcast in Minnesota during the World Series when the Dodgers played the Minnesota Twins. Willie Davis stumbled, fall, and crawl. Not Willie, Willie Davis.
Did he make it?
I believe he did. Something was taken for granted. That's why you're going to get the ball in no matter what.
Shane Spencer's second at bat, he struck out as a pinch hitter in the 7th. Vance Wilson is behind him, 1 out, bottom of the 9th. Spencer to center field, and Edmonds makes the catch. Zeal will come in to score. Now it's an 11-4 game. And Spencer gets the RBI that might otherwise have gone to Piazza. Now it's Wilson. Vance with a double and a single in his 4 at-bats. And that ball caught by Pujols, and the game over. So the Cardinals, after a gut-wrenching loss to the Mets here in the first game of the series, show a little bit of what they're made of. The Cardinals come back and win the series.
I mentioned earlier before the game, I talked to Tony La Russa. He was talking about how big this game is. As Ted mentioned, they're going to Chicago to play their arch rival. But Scott Rowland is on fire. He just missed a home run twice, and he got one. So he had 1 home run. He could have had 3. Kareem Garcia took one, brought it back into the ballpark, get another one to left field that died and was caught. But that's the final score as Mike Piazza and the Mets retreat to the clubhouse, regroup. They'll come back out tomorrow night against those Rockies from Colorado.
So the Mets jumped out quickly today. Zeal's homer in the first game, a 2-0 lead. Didn't hold them. Cardinals come back to win it. 11-4. We'll be back to Shea. And that'll be appearance early in being a good day for the Mets. First inning drama with a Todd Zeal homer, but the day ends up all St. Louis 11-4.
Take a look at our Toyota game summary. It was a lot better than the score indicates, at least until the 9th inning, when the Cards picked up 6 runs. Zeal had a 2-run home run out of the shoot. Pujols a solo home run. And you see the rest of the numbers there. It was a tough day for the Mets. Final score 11-4. That's a Toyota game summary.
So St. Louis takes 2 out of 3, and now the Mets will try to rebound tomorrow night against Colorado as the Rockies come in for the weekend at Shea. And tomorrow night we'll be right back with you here on Fox Sports Net for the first game of the series, 6:30 for Geico Mets on deck. And 7:10 for first pitch, available in high definition only on cable. Coming up next, Kiner's Corners debut for the season, presented by the New York Stock Exchange. Now Todd Zeile played with a bandaged ear, hit a first-inning homer. It looked like it could be a day for the Mets, but it turned the other way as the Cardinals took the lead for good in the 6th inning. Albert Pujols had a home run as part of their comeback, and the Cardinals broke it open in a 6-run ninth. Thanks to our crew. Great job, everybody. And for Ralph Kiner, Fran Healy, and Matt Loughlin, I'm Ted Robinson. And stay tuned. Kiner's Corner comes up next on Fox Sports Net.